everybody, welcome back to Finnigan 40K. This is still the Adepta Sororitas Crusade. You guys saw from the intro there that we have two armies coming in at 1,590 points. The Adepta Sororitas coming into their fourth battle, and it is against the World Eaters, Khornate Berserkers. And this Khorn force is going to be a very tough opponent to handle. Some of the Adepta Sororitas have moved up enough that they have gained experience to become the blooded rank, which means that they have 6 or more experience. And on the camera right now, you do have the Imagifier. She has supported every single unit that she's been with, and she has gained the Aegis of Belief. So from here on forward, this model has the Feel No Pain 5+ ability. And at the start of your command phase, this model regains 1 lost wound. So that is amazing because she gives the unit that she's with that 2+ invulnerable, 2+ save and then 4+ invulnerable. And this also means now that she's going to have a Feel No Pain 5+ on top of her regular save. And she can also regain 1 lost wound at the beginning of each command phase. So we're going to see how that works in here. Looking very forward to it. And again, she has reached the blooded rank. The next unit up who has reached the blooded rank is our Retributor squad, and they have been given the Armor of Faith. So once per phase, when this unit is selected as the target of an attack, you can discard 1 miracle dice. So this is another great one if I get some low miracle dice rolls. If you do, until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets this unit, worsen the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. Since the Retributors are kind of more of a distance ranged unit, they're going to be facing, probably in this battle, some higher strength weapons with some pretty good AP. So that was a very good one to give them, and that will also carry through for the remainder of the Crusade. So that is the Retributors with the Armor of Faith having reached the blooded rank, and we have 1 more unit coming up right after that. And our last unit that has reached the blooded rank definitely deserves it. This thing has been holding this Crusade together for the Adepta Sororitas for the most part. It has been given the thrice blessed hull. So the Castigator now forward will have the Feel No Pain 4+ ability against mortal wounds. So that is the Imagifier, the Retributors, and the Castigator that have received those battle traits. I was looking at the Crusade relics. Not yet, and it is for character models, so we'll see maybe if good old Canoness Vaheen can get something in this battle, or any of the other character models like the Hospitaller. We might be able to give them one of the relics, but for now we've added those battle traits. So I cannot wait to see how those battle traits kind of buff out these units. This is going to be a 4-turn battle. It is going to move super fast because I think almost everyone is going to be in contact right off the bat. And I will show you guys the table here in just a sec and also kind of go through the mechanics for this game. So the victory indicators here are the World Eaters are trying to summon a massive Bloodthirster. So we're talking like the level of Kabanda kind of style from Warhammer 30K. So like just a massive angry Bloodthirster. He can't get through into this world from the warp until there's enough blood that is spilled. And by doing that, this would have the World Eaters hold out for the 4 turns. They don't have to kill every single Adepta Sororitas model, but they do have to hold out for the 4, and that's showing that there's been enough either blood spilled during this fight or throughout this region of space to allow it to be summoned. And then on the flip side of that, our Adepta Sororitas have to win by killing every single World Eater model. So this is going to be a super tough battle. The Adepta Sororitas are coming in at 2-1. They lost their first fight, won their next 2. If you guys want to check those out, there are the previous videos on this playlist. And yeah, we'll get to the table right now, show you guys kind of the structure of this, the mechanics, and how the Battle Sisters are set up, and then also how the World Eaters are set up. So this is going to be a big test for the Adepta Sororitas, as this is a 100% offensive battle for them. There's no defense in this one, so they're going to have to get in there quick. I have to be very strategic on who I want my units to be taking on, and I've set that up a little bit on the table. They are also going to get the first move, first shoot, and first melee. So yeah, I'll get to it here in a sec, and I'll show you guys the table and the setup for the battle. Here is the force that will be representing the Blood God Khorn. This is a massive 8-bound, exalted 8-bound jackal, and just crazy hand-to-hand combat here. We'll show you there just a sec the Bloodthirster that they are trying to summon by the end of that 4th turn. Land Raider there too, also not great. And even though these two armies are at 1,590 points apiece, there are those battle scars that are going to be slowing down the Adepta Sororitas and doing some other stuff as well. But then we also do have those battle traits. So we're going to see how much those play into this. So the idea I had here was kind of like an old town, some kind of, I don't know, out in the boons of the universe. And the Adepta Sororitas found out that there was a massive Khorne army here trying to raise a Bloodthirster to start taking on the entire region. And this is the summoning structure here, and you can see that the Bloodthirster's in there. So the Bloodthirster's not going to be able to fight at all. It's just there as kind of the centerpiece for this fight, and that is what they're trying to release here in this battle by the 4th turn. So if Khorne are still alive and there's at least one model alive from their entire force that you've just seen, this Bloodthirster is unleashed and will be wreaking havoc. So now to show you guys where the Adepta Sororitas are, I've tried to line them up as best I can to take on the threats that are presented here around this Khornate blood circle, and we'll get to them just now. So over on this side of the table, we have Morvan Val with her Paragon Warsuits taking on the Warlord of the Khorne Force, which is the Slaughterbound here. There's also some, they're not Jackals, I forget what these guys are called, but they're newer models there that came out for Kill Team, and they're definitely included. They have their own statistics now, so that's what's facing Morvan Val and her Paragon Warsuits right off the bat. Over here, we have a Rhino in the corner. Not much of a competition against that Land Raider, and that Land Raider is going to be doing some big damage. We've seen these things turn a lot of tanks into tin cans. And then within the Rhino, we do have the Celestian Sacrosanct, the Hospitaller, and the Sisters Repentia, so a pretty good hand-to-hand combat force. Over here, we have the Zephyrim. We're flying in against a 10 section of Jackals. Zephyrim, I'm hoping, can hold it down there. We saw them do pretty well against the Gargoyles, but they kind of fell because there's just way too many models around them. So we'll see how they do in this fight. A little bit more of a fair scrap, I think. Over here, we have a Battle Sister unit led by Canoness Vaheen, who is the second in command of this force. They are facing a very tall order in a unit of Jackals, and then there's 8-bound behind them and Exalted 8-bound right beside them. I wanted to incorporate some old, they look like G.I. Joe towers. Got these a little while ago, and I've never been able to really use them from Ender Toys, which is on Amazon. They make some really cool 3D printed terrain that is super cheap compared to a lot that's out there. I don't even think these are going to be used in the battle, but it looked kind of perfect for the setting. I want this, less technological town that's been taken over by Khorne, and their citizens have become kind of Jackals, and they're now worshipping Khorne. Here on the other side of the table from Morvan Val is the Castigator. We saw that it does have that battle trait. I made a note of that so I don't forget. It also has the Penitent Engine and Mortifier beside it, and they also have a very tall order in Khornate Terminators. There's also more 8-bound over here with Khorne Berserkers, and across from them we do have the Retributors, which I'm hoping will be able to plink some wounds off. They also have that battle trait to keep them going. We have the Immolator tank here as well. Very good for light infantry models against 8-bound though, and Khorne Berserkers. We'll see how it goes. And then to round it off here, we have the last Battle Sister squad with the Magifier, who also has that battle trait. This Battle Sister squad, as well as many others, have a Battle Scar, which is the -1 to movement. I'm hoping since this table isn't huge, it's not going to factor in, but it is definitely a penalty to them. And may hinder them getting into hand-to-hand combat or into firing range or whatever it is. And across from them is this old kind of church mausoleum building that has more Jackals in it. So we are going to get to this one right away. It is flipping over to the Adepta Sororitas on the attack first. The Khorne are defending here, and again, 4 turns total. If there are any Khornate models left, Khorne wins. And if the Adepta Sororitas are able to wipe out every single one of them, this Bloodthirster never gets summoned, and the win goes to the Adepta Sororitas. A very tough battle. We're going to see how they do on the offense, but here we go. Let's get it going. Super excited. Alrighty. Adepta Sororitas movement phase turn 1 has been complete, and they have had to come out super aggressive because this battle is a very short one for what has to be done. So the Rhino is pulled in here, a little bit of cover. Very worried about this Land Raider, though. It's probably going to make quick work of a lot of these units here, but we will see how it goes. This is the hand that they have been dealt. The Rhino let out all of its embarkation models, now disembarked. So we have the Sisters Repentia, we have the Celestine Sacrosancts and the Hospitaller. We have the Paragon Warsuits, and we have Morvenn Vahl. Morvenn Vahl has her full 8-inch movement, so she was able to get into combat right away with the... okay, I keep forgetting these guys' names. The... well, we'll just call them Jackals for now, but they have a specific name. Paragon Warsuits with that -1 to move, crippling damage is really affecting. They would have actually been into combat there with Morvenn Vahl, but they're back an inch because that unit was just 8 inches out, which is their full move. Over here, the Zephyrim have gone into hand-to-hand combat with the Jackal unit here. They have a great 12-inch move, and they flew right in to take the advantage there. These Cornate models, all of them are extremely fast. The 8-bound and Exalted 8-bound are now 10 inches. I remember them being like 7 or 8. I don't know if that was the balanced data slate or if that's just 10th edition. I know I mentioned it during a previous battle in one of our fights there for Fight Force 4 or one of my other playlists if you guys want to check that out. And then the Slaughterbound moves like 12 inches, I think. It's absolutely insane. So I have to get out here fast. The Sisters Battle Squad here did not move. I'm going to be trying to put all of my ranged weaponry down on the Jackals to soften them up, and then there's 8-bound in behind. This side here, which is more of my kind of anti-armor punch, I have the Mortifier and Penitent Engine going in against the Cornate Terminators. The Castigator wheeled around to the left here. I've removed a lot of battle scars off this thing with Requisition Points, so it's still fresh and it's got that battle trait. It's going to be firing all of its weaponry into the 8-bound and the Khorne Berserkers here. The Immolator is the same, as well as the Retributors. I didn't have to move the Retributors because that 18-inch from the Multi-Melta is hitting just in there, so that's perfect range. In here, this is going to be very tricky to clear out because there's not many lines of sight right now if you guys come right down here. The Flamer is a weapon that is a torrent, so it hits automatically, so I should be able to gout through that doorway and hopefully burn a few models in here. But this is like, an entry drill here. They're going to be entering inside. There's a lot of hostiles. And they're going to have to pick their targets and try to do that. But as they're coming through that door, there might be some Jackals that are there to meet them for hand-to-hand combat. So we'll see how that goes. Or if the Jackals just want to get blood, which is kind of the lore of these World Eaters, they might just fly right out and get into hand-to-hand combat and take the advantage there. So we'll see what I want to do with them. And then to come back to the start here, we have the Land Raider and the Slaughterbound. And we're going to get into the shoots here. I'll probably roll a few things in the tray for the shoots. And then we're going to move it to the melee, and that's definitely going to be in the tray. That's always a lot of fun to roll. And here is the star of this battle, our Bloodthirster, angrily waiting to be released if his World Eaters can do that for him. So let's keep going, and we'll see if that happens. Alrighty, so we're going to get a lot of shoot rolls here. This is the Immolator, Castigator, and Retributor squad versus the Khorne Berserkers and the 8-bound in front of them. As I am playing for Khorne on the receiving side of these shots, I will be administering the first bout of wounds to the Khorne Berserkers. They each have 2 wounds apiece, and then the 8-bound have 3 wounds apiece. And this is a super important shoot phase because if there are not many models that are dropped here, they have a hell of a chance to get into hand-to-hand combat with these tanks and shred them apart. First things first, though, I did forget at the very beginning, we are going to roll our Miracle Dice. It is going to be white this time again. The black dice are going to be for the Adepta Sororitas, and the red dice will be for Khorne. So let's see what we get here for our Miracle Dice roll. A 2. So I've got a lot of skills going on right now and abilities that will allow me to discard that if I have to. So the low rolls, be nice to have some high ones so I can sub them in, but not the worst thing. So first one here is going to be the Immolator up. I'm going to do the Heavy Bolter profile. So this is 3 attacks hitting on a 3+. 1 fell off. Not using that Miracle Dice for that. It wouldn't work anyways. It is Strength 5 versus Toughness 4. That's going to be 3s to wound. And 1 did not wound. 1 is through. -1 to AP. That will bring our Khorne Berserker up to a 4+ save. They do not have invulnerable, so here we go. And did not save it. It is 2 damage. So that first shot from the Immolator's Heavy Bolter has killed a Khorne Berserker. Just going to remove the model here. So tracking. It's going to be tough. There's going to be, I think, a lot of casualties on both sides. So trying to get these guys put away. I usually put them on an extra table or some space I have. I think that's going to fill up super quick. So next one up here is the Immolation Flamers. So these are 2d6 first. That's going to tell us how many attacks we get. Not a great roll again. So we have 6. This is a possibility of 12. So we're 50% of that right away. So 2, 4, 6. They hit automatically because they are torrent weapons. It is strength 6 versus toughness 4. 3s again to wound. Ay, ay, ay. My 2 for the miracle dice is not going to help that either. So these did not hit. These are both through. It is a -1 to AP. I should have actually rolled that as black dice. So this is now the Khorne Berserker save. -1. It's going to be 4 pluses again. And there you go. So that's another Khorne Berserker dead. I'm getting kind of lucky here with the non-saves from Khorne. That's another model for the Khorne Berserkers lost. So their unit of 10 goes down to 8 because that is 1 damage per, 2 wounds total. So now I'm going to try to get this straight. We're going to be using black dice for the Adepta Sororitas and red dice for the Khorne so we can differentiate between those two. Next up is going to be the Castigator. I'm going to fire every single piece of weaponry it has on these Khorne Berserkers. So that is 3 heavy bolters and the Castigator battle cannon. So we'll start up with the battle cannon. It is d6 plus 3. Again, not great. So that's 2 plus our 3 dice. This is how many attacks we have, 5 in total. It is hitting on a 3+, so we still have to roll to hit because this is not a torrent weapon like the Flamers. Ay, ay, ay. So 2 fell off again. Let's see if I can get lucky again, though. So it is a strength 10 versus toughness 4. This is going to be 2s to wound. Thank God that wasn't a 1. So 3 wounds are through. Switch this out for 3 Khorne dice. -1 to AP again, 4+ saves. And once again, not great. So 2 were saved. We have a 6 and a 4. They needed a, they needed the 4. This is through though, and it's 3 damage per. So that kills another Khorne Berserker and wounds another. And you can imagine this is like a big, it's a cannon, right? So it's coming in. It's not like a laser beam or a bolt round or anything. So when it hits, it's got a blast profile. It's hitting the whole unit. So those wounds don't just affect one model, but multiple. So that is the end of the Castigator. It's done okay. Last but not least is my Retributor squad. After this, I think I'll probably do all the rest of the shoots off camera. I'll come back and show you guys just so we're out of the tray. But we do have some pretty good weapons here from the Retributor squad. So the first one is the Sister Superior with her combi weapon hitting on a 4+. Got a 5. That's good to go. It's not within 12 inches, so she does have a rapid fire 1, which would add 1, but that is the shot that's gone through. And a lot of the times in the last couple battles, these combi weapons have not been hitting great if you guys have been tracking. So this is nice to have a hit in. It is 4 on 4 though, so we need a 4 to wound. So that would be 4 strength versus 4 toughness. Got that as well. It's a 6. No armor penetration, so it's a regular 3+ save by the Khorne Berserkers. And saved it, so the combi weapon has done nothing. The heavy bolter I will roll for next. That is 3 attacks hitting on a 3+ actually. So I've mentioned this a few times, but if you're new, these weapons have heavy profiles. All the weapons that are not the combat bolter. So that is the multi-meltas, the heavy flamer, and the heavy bolter. I'm actually not sure. No, the heavy flamer is not heavy because it hits automatically. But with a heavy weapon, since it's a larger platform, if you've moved before, so you can picture someone running with like an M60 machine gun, you have to kind of settle yourself down before you start to hit targets. So it makes the shoot harder for them if they're running with these weapons or moving. If they've stayed stationary, though, from the previous turn, then they get a bonus, which is a heavy weapon bonus, making it a minus. It's weird in Warhammer, so it's like a +1, but in return, that helps you get an easier roll, which is a 3+. So since this is heavy, it is a 3+ to hit these 3 attacks. Got them all. That's great. Strength 5 versus toughness 4, 3s to wound. That one fell off. 2 are through. -1 to AP. It's going to bring the Berserkers up to a 4+. Once again, that is 2 damage through. So we have 1 save with the 5. 1 is through, 2 damage. So that kills that Berserker that was wounded last round. And that 1 wound flips over to another Berserker. This has been an absolutely fantastic shoot phase so far. The Berserkers have 6 models left from the original 10 and 4 have been killed. So this is exactly what we need for a battle this quick, is to wipe out these models. And considering that the first few rolls weren't great, I'll take it. The Ministorum Heavy Flamer, which I was mentioning earlier, does not have a heavy profile. It's actually not in range, so it's 12 inches, so that will not be able to reach those Khorne Berserkers. The Multi-Meltas, however, are just reaching, so I'm going to roll for each of those. This is heavy as well, so the 4+ ballistic skill turns into a 3+. They're not going to get the Melta 2 bonus, which would have added extra damage, but there's still a possibility that these Multi-Meltas can kill these Khorne Berserkers if I roll well enough. So first one is 2 attacks hitting on a 3+. So one did fall off. We'll get to that in a sec. Next one is up, hitting on a 3+. So of those, 50% are through. It is a strength 9 weapon though versus toughness 4. So this is going to be 2s to wound. Both have wounded, which is amazing. It is -4 to AP. The Berserkers, again, do not have that invulnerable save. I'm just checking right now to see if they have anything there. I am going to have to do the Blessings of Khorne, but that will happen during their turn, and we can cover that also. I've gone through that from a lot of our other playlists, but we'll go through how that works here as well in just a sec when we get back over to Khorne. And that gives them bonuses in regards to a lot of different things, but the Berserkers do not have an invulnerable. They do not have a feel no pain. So these have both gone through. It is -4 to AP, which would bring the Berserkers up to a 7+ save. They do not have cover right now because they're out in the open. The pillars there from the Immolator may have given them a bit of cover, but a Flamer ignores cover because it is, you can just picture a Flamer like bending around the poles here, the pillars, so that would burn them. But this is through. It is going to be D6 damage per. So 2 are through. I'm going to see how much damage is through. That is 8 damage. That has killed almost all of the unit here. So let me just count it out. 2, 4, 6, 8. So we have several models dead. That 1 wound again switches over to somebody else. So that Khorne Berserker unit that started off as 10 models is now down to 2. I do not use the any of the rules there where they're low strength or whatever. I don't believe in any of that stuff, which I've also covered in a couple things. I think it's the stupidest rule ever. They are here to kill as many people as they can. They're not going to be retreating on the battlefield if there's 2 of them left out of the 10. So the Sisters of Battle have done amazing. After I do the rest of the shoots, I'll come back to the table, sum everything up for you guys, but that is exactly what we need. Again, it's such a short battle with a quick turnaround, so that has taken out 80% of that Khorne Berserker squad. There are, however, the 3 8-bound remaining and 2 Khorne Berserkers, which are still very deadly. So we'll see how this goes, but I'm going to do the rest of the shoots. I will come back to the table in a bit and show you guys a recap of everything. All right, so that is the end of the Battle Sisters shoot phase. A very, I would say, successful shoot phase. The Battle Sister squad here with Canoness Vaheen were able to fire in and kill the entire Jackal squad here. That is a unit kill for them, and that adds to their experience. Very close to being blooded. I believe they're at 4 experience after that, so that's fantastic. Need to get to 6 for that one. Over here, the success at the beginning, as you guys saw, was phenomenal. So it is 2 tanks and an entire heavy weapon squad, but the Castigator, the Immolator, and the Retributors fired in. This is what remains of the Khorne Berserker unit there at the back. There's 2 models from the original 10 with some 8-bound out front. I'm going to have to check my camera. It's really still going out of focus here. I don't know what's going on. Apologies for that. If there's been a few shots there, that's a little better. And then over here, the Penitent Engine and Mortifier fired in at the Terminators. They were able to kill one as well, and the rest have their full wounds, but a very successful round there. Last but not least, we had the Battle Sister squad here with the Flamer, which was really the only thing that had line of sight. Fired into this doorway here, gouted the whole place with flame, and were able to kill 2 of the Jackals who were inside the door. The Jackals, however, are going to be coming out soon. We are now going to move over to the hand-to-hand combat. There's no other shoots here. Either models are engaged or not in line of sight. So we have Morvenval versus the Goremongers. That's what they're called. They're a newer unit, so I was calling them Jackals there, but they're called Goremongers. Very, very fast moves, so I'm really hoping that Morvenval can take them out, at least wound a lot of them, so their fight back there or counterattack isn't too great. A lot of the units here just hopped out, so you can picture you're on a battlefield, you just stepped out of a rhino, things are crazy, there's lots of explosions and sound and stuff, so they had to get themselves situated. You can't move after you embark. I tried to check the rules, not 100% sure. I might also be thinking of 30k rules in my head, but it makes sense that you would not be able to do a full movement until after, or a shoot. So that would be the move of the tank, they get out. That's at least the rules that we'll use here, and that'll also go with the Land Raider if any units go in there later. But we are going to get to the hand-to-hand combats here across the table. So Morvan Val versus those Goremongers. And then we do have the Zephyrim here versus the other unit of Jackals. But yeah, Sister Battle are doing very well here for their first turn. Killed a lot of models. Not the strongest. Those Khorne Berserkers were a little surprising on the other side of the table. But an entire unit of Jackals is pretty impressive too. So we're going to keep going here, hand-to-hand combat, and then it goes back to the World Eaters, and we're going to see what they do. And I am very, I don't know, I've said this before, but World Eaters and Khorne are kind of my favorite 40k Chaos Force. I love the Death Guard too, but I really want to see how they do here against the Sisters of Battle. I'm definitely rooting for the Sisters of Battle because this is their crusade. But I want to see how these World Eaters do, and we're going to get to them right after this hand-to-hand. So back to the tray for the hand-to-hand combat. And we'll see what happens. In the tray, melee hand-to-hand combat to the end of the turn 1 for the Adepta Sororitas. So after this, it switches back over to the World Eaters. I wanted to get the Zephyrim in here. Their ranged weapons, being bolt pistols and a plasma pistol, are not great. So I think they had a better chance here of doing damage while they were in hand-to-hand combat. And again, we need to be super aggressive here to make sure that we're taking these World Eaters out. Just checking here to see if they have any abilities. I'm pretty new to the Zephyrim as well, so it looks like we're good to go. It is power weapons, so it is power swords held by each of the Zephyrim. That's going to be 15 attacks in total, 3 times 5. So I'm just getting those dice prepared here. 6, 9, 12, and 15. They are very good veteran sisters with jump packs and power weapons. So here we go, hitting on a 3+. Holy crap. And I can't use my miracle dice either because it's a 2. So we have a 1, we have a 2, we have a 1, we have a 1, we have a 2, we have a 1, we have a 1. Not great. That's a lot of dice falling off, but we'll see if this is enough. It's only 1 damage per attack too, so down the line we first have to wound as well. So this is going to be strength 4 versus toughness 4, force to wound. And even more fell off. Oof. Zephyrim were okay last battle. They were, fighting against some gargoyles and the Winged Tyranid Prime. The Tyranid Prime is pretty tough, but I was really hoping that versus Jackals that are really lightly armored, that they'd be able to do okay. I don't know if that's still the case. The Chaos Cultists usually have a 3 toughness. The Jackals have a bit more because the thing about the Jackals is, as per their creation, and I guess the Goremongers too, they have these tanks of blood on their back that are like Khornate blood from Space Marines, or I should say Chaos Space Marines. So that's feeding into their system, almost bringing them into like a ravenous state. So like, humans with rabies that are just absolutely crazy. That's why their speed is up to 7 inches as opposed to 6. And why their toughness is probably 4 as well. So anyways, these 4 attacks are through. It is going to be a -2 to AP though, which is attractive. And that actually brings the Jackals up to a save that they cannot make. So they usually have a 6+ save. They're not in cover. That would be an 8+. They can't make it. So 4 models have been killed right away from that dice roll. I'm just going to remove them. Big thing is here though, the Jackals are going to be able to fight back. And they are very good in hand-to-hand combat. So I'm hoping that the Zephyrim can survive this counterattack. So I'm just going to look at what we have left here. We have the Chain Blades, the Mauler Chain Blade, the Paired Manglers, and the Skull Smasher and Mangler. So we'll start up with the Paired Manglers. That seems to be from the big-ass Jackal there. He also has plugs in his body. It almost looks like he was like maybe going through Space Marine training or something, or maybe he was a Space Marine. I'm not sure. Don't know too much about the Jackals for that, but it's 4 attacks hitting on a 4+. Okay, 2 of those fell off. That's good. It is strength 4 versus toughness 3. So this is the big difference here with that Sister of Battle toughness of 3. So this is 3s to wound instead of 4. 1 more has fallen off, and the Paired Manglers 0 to AP. Let's see if our Sisters of Battle here can save. It's a 3+. And she did save it. That's great. And I'm just going to check here too. We have the Mauler Chain Blade in there also. So this is going to be hitting on a 5+, 3 attacks. None of those are through. That's great. So I guess just in their like ravenous rabies state, they're just swinging these weapons and chopping at the air, so they're not really able to hit too well. And these sisters, being veterans and pretty chill, are probably, you know, avoiding a lot of their attacks or parrying. So the remaining here are 1, 2, 3, 4 models, and they are going to be chain blades. So that's going to be 12 attacks though. 3, 6, 9, 12. Just getting my dice. This is hitting on a 4+. So more fell off. This is good for the sisters because this is a battle I thought that might be going the way of the jackals just with their numbers, but it looks like in that frenzied state they're not able to hit much. So it's a strength 3 this time versus toughness 3. That's going to be forced to wound. And none of them wounded. So that is fantastic. The Zephyrim have survived that hand-to-hand combat. They were able to kill 2 of the 4 of the models. And I'm just going to move them back because they were the ones that came in. So that allows the jackals to be able to go at them next turn if they wish. It is now moving over to Morven Val versus those Goremongers. And we're going to see what she does because I'm a little worried. The Goremongers are also quite good. But if their weapon skill is like a 4+ again for some of their weapons, it might be on the side of Morven Val. So let's go do that in just a sec. Alrighty, just to break up the tray a bit, there are our Zephyrim that flew in. They were getting hacked at and chain bladed at, but they were able to parry and get away. So they were able to kill 4 of the jackal models and move backwards to kind of break that melee. We're going to see what the jackals do next turn. There's also the very scary Exalted 8-bound beside, but it is not their turn just yet, as we have Morven Val here versus the Goremongers. I'm going right back to the tray now to roll this one, and I'm very, very interested to see how the Warlord of the Adepta Sororitas, one of the High Lords of Terra, does against a squad of 8 Goremongers. So let's go to the tray and find out. Alrighty, and you guys know this one if you've been watching this Crusade battle narrative series. I am going to be using Righteous Repugnance. I won't get into it, but I have discarded a Miracle Dice that is going to add 3 attacks to the Lance of Illumination, which is Morven Val's melee weapon. So there we go. It usually has a sweep profile of 10. It is now going to have a sweep profile of 13. I'm not using strike here. Strike would be for more higher strength, like when and if I get into a scrap with that Land Raider or the Slaughterbound or possibly the Exalted 8-bound. That's going to come into play. But the Goremongers have a toughness of 4, and this has a strength 5. So it's going to be 3s to wound. And it's hopefully going to land more hits. So that's the big thing here. So I'm going to grab my 13 dice. And let's see. Again, I haven't been rolling amazing, so see how it goes. So this is hitting on a 2+ Lance of Illumination sweep. And the only reason I have this is because I discarded that Miracle Dice for Righteous Repugnance. So there are 2 that fell off there. All the rest are through. That is fantastic. It's going to be 11 attacks here. It is a Strength 5 versus Toughness 4, so this is going to be 3s to wound. Oh, shit. That's a lot of 1s. That's not what I was looking for. 5 1s out of that. Ay. Okay, so these are all through. It is a -1 to AP. That does bring the Goremongers up to a 7+ save, which they cannot make. So these attacks have gone through, but it has not killed as many models as I'd hoped. If there was just a couple more 3s there, it would have been a lot better because these models are going to be able to fight back. I don't know if they'll be able to kill Morven Val, but if they wound her, it is not good because there's still 3 full turns after this to get through, and we need her as kind of our main hand-to-hand combat punch. The Paragon Warsuits are really good too, but Morven Val with that Heavy Bolter and the Lance of Illumination with the 2 profiles and that Righteous Repugnance is huge. So if she goes down or starts to get slowed up here, not good. But we do have 2, 4, 6 wounds through. So that does kill, well, 75, 80% of those Goremongers because there are only 8 of them. I was thinking there's 10 there for a sec, but there's 8. And there we go. So all that's left is the Goremonger Champion and one of the Goremonger. They're pretty cool models, actually. They came from, they are there for Kill Team, but they do have a World Leader profile that's included in the Codex there for 10th edition. So very good. I used them as well in the Last Stand series. If you guys want to check that out, that is a set Tyranid point army versus tons of different Imperium and Chaos models that come in to fight them. Other Xenos models as well. The Orcs have been in there. Very, very cool to see how those Tyranid do. And there has been 2 undefeated armies. If you guys want to check that out, definitely give it a look. I can tell you the Adepta Sororitas did not do well in there. They probably are actually last place in the Last Stand series, but the force I put in there wasn't great. And also I did not roll well at all. But anyways, back to this one. We do have the chain blades here. So this is going to be 3 attacks per model that remains. So we have that champion and another one of the Goremongers. So it's hitting on a 4+. That is good for Morven Val. So we have these that have fallen off. And it is a strength 3 weapon versus a toughness of 7. So they need 6s here to wound. And 1's through. 0 to AP, which is very lucky. So that is through. That is Morven Val's 2+ usual save. And of course, I'm going to roll a 1. So Morven Val comes in, she kills 80% of that unit, and they get a very lucky roll. And these happen in games. For a while, they had like, it's crazy, but like if you had like a unit of 1,000 Cadian fighting against like a knight or like a massive war engine, they could have actually taken them down just mattering on rolls, and this is exactly what I mean. So Morven Val has been brought down to 7 wounds. I'm hoping that's not going to have a huge impact, but when she starts to take on bigger models, the Slaughterbound, who is the leader of this World Eater force, has 6 wounds, so now they're very close to each other. So we'll see what happens, but Morven Val has done pretty well. She did not get a full unit kill, though, but she definitely softened them up. But now it does switch back over to the World Eaters. So I will do a quick recap there of just Morven Val and what's left over on that side. And then it moves back over to the World Eaters, and we're going to getting into the Blood God Blessing and all those special abilities. What the hell is it called? The Blessings of Khorne. And I'll read that, let you guys know what that's all about, and how that's going to aid them in their fight against these Adepta Sororitas and release their massive Bloodthirster god. And there is the end of that fight. We have Morven Val still staring down those Goremongers that she wasn't able to kill, and one of them got a very good lucky blow in at her, and they were able to remove 1 wound. So she is down to 7 wounds. The Goremongers have hardly anybody left, but there are still 2 models to deal with. And then behind them is the Warlord of this World Eater force, the Slaughterbound, a full section of Exalted 8-bound, a Land Raider. This against Morven Val is not going to end well if that's the case, so I have to try to do something here. These here too, this is from 30k. These are not las cannons, they're heavy bolters. I found, and I think I actually in the Cadian Crusade had this thing firing in a battle where it took out that Rogaldorn battle tank a little too easily, and that's because I was firing 6 las cannons when it should have only been 4. So you guys see las cannons here, but they're actually heavy bolters. But we're going to move over here. I'm going to go back to the dice tray, just read you guys the Blessings of Khorne, how that works, what's going to happen here with the rolls. And then we're going to keep this one trucking. It switches back over to Khorne. Today is a Sunday. I am a massive NFL fan, so I will be stopping the battle after that turn for now. I'll come back to it definitely throughout the week. And as I said, I'm no longer on vacation, so these videos might take a little bit longer to get made, but we'll definitely get through this crusade. It's going to be 6 or 7 battles in total. This is the 4th, so still 2 to 3 after this one. But yeah, I'm going to be cheering on my Packers today, seeing how it goes. I am a Canadian, but I love my NFL probably more than anything, and it is maybe the only thing that predates my Warhammer. So I started watching NFL football when I was like 11 years old in 95, and then I started collecting Warhammer in the winter of 97, 98. So they're pretty close to each other. But yeah, I love doing both, and it is going to be NFL for the rest of the day after this, but we're going to go do the Blessings of Khorne, see what they roll, and then we're going to get back to them, do their move, shoot, and hand-to-hand, and then finish this one up for the day. Over the dice tray. All right, so this might be a little bit of a long description, but I wanted to read this off so you guys know what the Blessings of Khorne are. I have used it a few times in previous battles. This is new to, I believe, 10th edition. It was not in 9th edition, as a lot of the weapons systems and other things have changed. But this is a faction ability that is strictly used by the World Eaters and Khorne. So it is, if your army faction is world leaders, this is the case, at the start of the battle round, you can make a Blessings of Corn roll. So I actually should have started that when I did my Miracle Dice roll. My bad. To do so, roll 8d6. You can then use those dice to activate up to 2 Blessings of Corn. If you have Angron in a battle, if you guys want to see, that was in my couple of my other playlists there. We had the Primarchs in their Posse, which was a Fight 'em Up series, and Angron was in there and he was using the Blessings of Corn. He gets a little bit of extra buffs because he is a demon Primarch. But in most cases, this is what happens. So each Blessing of Corn specifies the dice results it requires. Where number is specified, a double or triple of that value or higher is required. You can only activate each Blessing of Corn once per battle round. So I can't have the same Blessing of Corn used twice, even though if I rolled high enough for that. Any unused dice from the Blessings of Corn roll are then discarded. Once activated, each Blessing of Corn applies to all units from your army with this ability until the end of the battle round. So it's going to be every single unit here if I roll certain dice. You can also downgrade your dice. So for instance, if you roll a 6 and you really like a skill, you can use that as a 1 to a 6. If you roll a 3, you can use that as a 1 to a 3, etc. So we're going to roll the 8 dice right now. Let's see what we get. And then we'll get into each of the specialties with that, I'll call them. So here we go. Ooh, 4 6s. That's pretty damn good. So I'm just gonna put these together. These are all off, so they're different. But like for instance, this could be used as a 3, a 4, a 2, or a 1. This can be used as a 1, 2, 3. This can be used as a 1 and a 2. This could be used as a 1 to 5. So Unbridled Bloodlust is 1/1. So you can reroll charge rolls made for this unit. Rage Fueled Invigoration is 2 2s. Each time a model in this unit makes a pile-in or consolidation move, it can move up to 6 instead of up to 3. That's good if I'm just outside of range of getting into hand-to-hand combat, so I might use that. Total Carnage, which is one of my favorites, is 2 3s. So each time a model in this unit is destroyed by a melee attack, if that has not fought this phase, roll 1d6. On a 4+, do not remove it from play. The destroyed model can fight after the attacking unit is finished making its attacks, and it is then removed from play. So might not want to do that right now, as I think these models are still pretty healthy, but if there's a unit that's really swiftered later on and they're like really good in hand-to-hand combat fighting against Morven Val or something, I might want to have that ability locked in, especially closer to the end of this battle, because that might make all the difference in regards to the victory indicators. And then Martial Excellence is double 4s or 3 1s. Melee weapons equipped by models in this unit have the Sustained Hits 1 ability. Warp Blades are 2 5s or 3 2s. Melee weapons equipped by models in this unit have the Lethal Hits ability. And then Decapitating Strikes is 2 6s or 3 3s. Each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack that targets an infantry unit, that attack has the Devastating Wounds ability. So this is a lot of extra rules. There's actually a lot of the Adepta Sororitas weapons that have these abilities too, to make this even and to make this as plain as possible. I'm probably going to be using maybe 3 out of the 6 of these. Don't shoot the messenger here, but it's just so many fucking rules to stay on top of, and then you start forgetting, like, okay, what was it again, and what, it's just so much for each. So we're going to stick to the profiles here just for the weapons. I'm not going to be doing Devastating Wounds or anything like that. So I am going to lock in my Total Carnage, which is 2 3s. So I'll say these 2 are those, because I can move those down to that. So all the units here have 2 3s. So that's if somebody goes into hand-to-hand combat, they get killed by a counterattack, they can still fight before they're dead, which is pretty good. So that's going to be that one. 4 6s is phenomenal. This would have been huge if Angron was here, because he can be reborn in blood, which means if he is killed and you have enough 6s, he comes back to life with a certain amount of wounds left. And that can happen as many times in the battle as it wants, as long as that blood keeps flowing. So 4 6s. I'm going to lock in the Rage Fueled Invigoration. So that's going to allow them to move 6 inches instead of 3. And that's to give them a little bit of extra range if they're jumping into hand-to-hand combat. I don't think that's the full core rule of a consolidation or pile-in, but I'm going to say, these guys usually have a 10-inch move. If there's a model within 13, they're going to be able to use that and get in. So that's going to be these 2 here. So I'm going to remove these. It sucks. There's no Angron. This battle would have been incredible to get those 6s for him. But we have Rage Fueled Invigoration activated and Total Carnage for all of the units on the table that are world leaders. And that goes on from now until their next turn. I should have locked that in at the beginning of the battle round, which is the very start of the game, the same time that I roll those miracle dice. But this should help them out. I'm going to now move all of the World Eaters and Khorne models, and we're going to see what happens, because there's probably going to be some more hand-to-hand combat here. And again, these models move so fast. I don't think anyone is safe here in regards to range for a melee attack. So start the moves, and I'll come right back and show you guys where everybody is. Well, shit. There's the World Eaters movement done. This Bloodthirster is tasting that blood as it keeps to smear all over that battlefield. And down here, the 8-bound are going to be adding to that smear-filled battlefield very soon, likely. They have gone into hand-to-hand combat against the Sisters of Battle. I used the ability that we just rolled there with Blessings of Khorne to get them right into fight. Over here, very similar, the Zephyrim are now dealing with the entire remaining Jackal unit there, and 3 Exalted 8-bound. Not just 8-bound, Exalted. See how that goes. And of course, Khorne have the initiative here too, because it was their move. Here, the Terminators have come out to face down the Mortifier and the Penitent Engine. They did not have the inches to be able to get into hand-to-hand. They still do have some pretty good weaponry there, though, so we'll see how that goes. And the Castigator is in a lot of trouble here. Luckily, we have that Thrice Blessed Hull, which has the Feel No Pain of 4+ against mortal wounds, because I think all of these are probably mortal. That is the 3 8-bound with the 2 remaining Khorne Berserkers, all in hand-to-hand combat with the Castigator. And tanks against hand-to-hand combat models, not a good go, because they're kind of holding up that tank, and the tanks do not have a very good counterattack with their tracks. The Immolator was kind of avoided this turn, but they might just flip right over to that next. So this has to have a very good turn next time, or it might be leaving. We'll have to see. And then over here, I need to do the World Eater lore here with the Khorne. The Jackals jumped out of the building. All 8 of them are now in hand-to-hand combat with the Magifier and the Battle Sisters. And then over here, another not good scenario. We have the Slaughterbound in hand-to-hand combat with Morvenn Vahl. So that's our 2 Warlords. Getting a zoom up here. Hopefully it'll focus in for you guys. That is a sick model. So the saying here is that it's got a Bloodthirster in it. So the 8-bound and Exalted 8-bound all have 8 demons within them, and then this is a Bloodthirster demon, so one of these guys that's over here, kind of inside the Slaughterbound, so you can just imagine what kind of force is going to be coming from that. It's going to be a really good showdown. I'll probably finish off the hand-to-hand combat phase with that, and we'll see how Morvenn Vahl does, but it does have the initiative there. And then over here, the remaining Jackals, Goremongers jumped in with the Sisters Repentia, so they're going to have the advantage there in the initiative. And then really, really bad case here, the Land Raider wheeled around this building, and it is going to be putting all of its weaponry onto the Paragon warsuits. This thing, as we've seen in the past, Land Raiders are capable of turning tanks into just tin cans with those las cannons and shredding them apart. So we are going to see how the Paragon warsuits can do. Yeah, I think we're going to be losing a few Adepta Sororitas units here for sure. And this is only the first turn for the World Eaters. Those Blessings of Khorne will also be helping them out. And we are going to get to the tray right away. I might do a few shoots in the tray, a few out. And then same with the hand-to-hand combat. And we'll come back, sum everything up. And then it's time for NFL Sunday. All right, be back in a sec. All right, so not too many shoots here for the World Eaters. I wanted to get in hand-to-hand combat with them as per the way you should be fighting with World Eaters, because that is where their forte is. A lot of them don't even have ranged profiles. They're mostly melee, so you got to get them in. But I am going to start here with the Terminator unit. The Mortifier and Penitent Engine that are in their range and line of sight are 2 different units. But I'm going to say that since it is 1 unit, the Terminators firing against 2, I'm going to be allocating the wounds to the Penitent Engine first. Not that I don't like it, more or less. It's just its weapon systems against the Terminators being flamers, not as great as those heavy bolters, I don't think. So let's get to it. This is the Chaos Terminators firing with their Combi bolters. I'm pretty sure all of them have that. 1, 2, 3. And then there is the 1 Reaper autocannon. So Combi bolters are rapid fire 4. Holy Dinah. Are they combi weapons though? Let me see. Nope. So 1, 2. Yeah, one's a combat weapon, so we'll roll that first. This is going to be hitting on a 4+. And that's a 1 that did not fire. They do not have an ability to reshoot or anything. I'm just checking their profiles here. The Blessing of Corn don't really help them either. They do have something called Blood Fury. Each time a model in this unit makes a ranged attack that targets the closest enemy unit, you can reroll the hit roll. Each time this unit declares a charge that targets the closest eligible enemy unit, you can reroll the charge roll. So I'm glad I read that because they are able to reroll their hit rolls. So hitting on a 4+. Still the same one. Got a 3. Not great. However, this is going to play pretty big into the combi weapons or into the combi bolters. So we have 2 of those here, and they're like a storm bolter, but I guess they're calling them combi bolters because those are 30,000 years old, a little different than the new technology of the Space Marine Terminators. But we have 2, 4, and then there's going to be an additional 4 on top of that. So that's 10 attacks in total, more than that. So yeah, a rapid 4 is if it's within half that range. It definitely is. They're pretty much like have their barrels up to their heads there. So we have our 2 regular attacks. I'm going to roll those in secs, and then each of these get 4 additional rolls because of that range. So that's how many dice we're rolling here. It's 12 in total. That was not a roll, it was a drop. So this is the combi bolter hitting on a 4+. And I can re-roll these because of that ability they have. So anything that's not a 4 here, I can pick back up. Can't re-roll the wound, but I can re-roll the hit. And yeah, it's got to be 4+, so these fall off. 1 was picked up though. It is a strength 4 versus a toughness 6. It's going to need 5s to wound. And got a few, can't re-roll those because that's not a hit roll, that is a wound roll. So these are 2 6s that are through. The combi bolter has 0 AP, so it is going to be the Penitent Engine's regular 4+ save. And 1 was saved, 1 was not. It is 1 damage, so the Penitent Engine has lost a wound. It goes from 5 wounds down to 4, just making that reflect on the token. And the Terminators are not done. We have the Reaper autocannon still, which is 4 attacks. See, like, and in this profile here, you have devastating wounds, you have sustained hits 1. I don't do, it's just so much to keep track of. So there is rapid fire 2. I'm going to add those in because this is just like basic weapon profiles, which is the old school Warhammer that I liked. There's none of this extra mortal wounds, devastating wounds, sustained hit wounds, all this stuff. Just you roll the roll, have the weapon strength. If you get extra rolls with the rapid fire, sure, it's a couple more dice you pick up, much easier to go by. So maybe we'll see. I don't know. I've heard rumors that 11th edition is coming out. Maybe they're going to claw back some of those rules because there's just too much all the time. I love what they did with the psychic rules. That was a really, really good thing. So they're almost hitting like a range weapon now, whereas each psychic weapon had like a profile back in the day and there were specific things with it. It was just way, way too much on top of everything else. But here we go. Reaper autocannon 4+. Don't know if you guys agree. Maybe you guys love these rules. I like to play a very simple game. I have friends over that don't know Warhammer sometimes, so I keep it as simple as possible. These are not the rules. If you're entering a tournament, you would be shot down because people would be saying you're not following the proper rules, or maybe they would steamroll you because they have all of the special rules in their head. But I just like to keep it simple, and it's a lot more fun that way, I find. So these are all through. It is a strength 7 weapon versus toughness 6. This time it's going to be 3s to wound. 1 has fallen off. This time it is -1 to AP, so that brings the Penitent Engine up to a 5+. I just have to see too, does it have a feel no pain? It does. So I'm going to be doing that this time. Like chess, that has been passed. So I should have checked that before. It's got a feel no pain 5+, which means if it does not make a save, it can still make a 5+. Which gives it kind of an extra ability, and that's because of the type of model it is. Again, it's an extra rule, but I like it. It's pretty easy to do. Kind of gives you an extra shot at saving the model. Should have done that with the first wound, forgot, so it is gone forever. But these ones I will remember. And again, this is a -1 to AP, bringing it up to a 5+. So none of those have been saved. However, I do have my feel no pain. So if all of these counted, that'd be 3 wounds through, bringing our Penitent Engine down to 1 wound. But I have the feel no pain 5+, and still nothing. So that's 3 wounds through. Luckily, it's only 1 damage per. So our Penitent Engine, I'm just over at the table, has gone down from 4 wounds to 1 wound. It is still going, but that was a very good round by the Terminators. I'm going to show you guys what has happened there with the shoots, and then we will start this hand-to-hand combat. Just checking the table here. Oh yes, we still need to do the shoots for the Land Raider. So I'll show you guys what's going on with the Penitent Engine first, then we'll come back and shoot for the Land Raider. All right, that was a while on the tray, so I just wanted to pull it out and show you guys. So this is the aftermath of that fight. We still have 4 Terminators. They all fired their weapons in. The Penitent Engine there, I forgot to make the Feel No Pain save the first go, but that move was already done. I wasn't going to go back. I tried it again for the second, and it has had 3 wounds removed. Again, I'm going to have to check out my camera. I might have to switch cameras out for the next battles because this one is not focusing. I have it on autofocus. It's just so weird that it's not doing that. It's like trying to pick up the foreground and the background. And it's going in and out. But anyways, sorry for that, guys. But yeah, we're going to go back to the tray now, and we're going to see how the Land Raider does against the Paragon Warsuits. This one is concluded, but then we still have tons of hand-to-hand combat as well after that shoot. And I'll cover some of those in the tray and some not. But hopefully the Adepta Sororitas can survive the second turn. Okay, so it sucks. The Paragon Warsuits have already got a crippling damage, -1 to move, which affected them trying to get in to help Morven Val, their warlord there at the beginning of the game. Now they're going to be facing the onslaught of 2 heavy las cannon batteries on the side of a Land Raider and 2 heavy bolters. The twin heavy bolter profile here too. It's got a rapid fire 2, so the 3 attacks that it normally has gets an additional 2. These are also twin linked, which means I can reroll the wound roll. And this is just the heavy bolter. This is not the las cannons yet. So here we go. And the Soul Shadow las cannon, I'm just looking at the profile there. It has rapid fire 2 as well. Holy shit. These things are nuts. They've made the Land Raiders like crazy. So here we go. This is the twin heavy bolter hitting on a 4+. Ooh, thank God for that. So I can't reroll this as that's the hit roll. The twin linked only happens with the wound roll. So these 4 of the 5 have fallen off, which is really good. Strength 5 versus toughness 7, going to need a 5 to wound. Got it. I do not need to reroll, but I could have. This is a -1 to AP. That brings our Paragon Warsuit unit up to a 3+ save. And that is 2 damage to one of the Paragon Warsuits already. They have 4 wounds in total, so they are down to 2 wounds for one of them, and now they have to survive this onslaught of the Soul Shatter las cannons. So you can just imagine this is like an incredible amount of laser energy focused from 2 massive laser cannons on the side of the tank here, so 4 in total. And it is just lasing right through the middle of these models. So we're going to see what happens. It is usually 2 attacks. They get a rapid fire 2 if they're within 24 inches. They definitely are. So this is actually 4 attacks per Soul Shadow las cannon, which is insane. Hitting on a 4+. No twin link, luckily. And oh my God, that's the Emperor is definitely looking down on them today. That's insane. Wow. So even attached to a tank, like the amount of power, this would probably kick the tank back quite a bit when it fires. So trying to steady the tank, I can see that 4+. There's no heavy profile on this either because it's attached to a vehicle. So it is always a 4+. Strength 12, -3 to AP, D6 +1. However, it needed the 4s and only 2 attacks went through. And there's no rerolls for this. So these all failed, which, you know, if you guys are cheering World Eaters, it sucks for you, but it's great for Adepta Sororitas. I like the World Eaters too, but yeah, it is what it is. So this is Strength 12 versus Toughness 7. It is going to be 3s to wound. If it was Toughness 6 or Strength 14, this would be 2s because you need 2 times the strength of the weapon over the toughness. So this is going to be 3s. And both are through, so that's still not great. It's a -3 to AP, so those Paragon Warsuits are up to their 4+ invulnerable save. They need this big time, or it could be a couple models gone here. So we're looking for the 4+. So 1 was saved, we got a 6. This, however, is through. The damage profile on this, so if every single one of those attacks had gone through from the start, it is D6 +1. So there's a possibility of like 20 wounds being allocated to the unit, 24. Like I can't do the math that quickly. But this is through, and we're going to see how much damage. I'll switch back to the red dice for that. and not crazy damage. So it's a 2+1. So the d6 roll, which is the 2 plus 1, is 3 wounds in total. So we have lost one model, and another model is down to 2 wounds, 3 wounds. Let me just flip the token here. So we have the Paragon Warsuit Superior still with her 4, and the other with the Multi-Melta is at a 3. We have lost a Paragon Warsuit with Multi-Melta though. And that weapon is actually really good against something like a Land Raider. You guys are maybe asking why I removed that model and kept the Sister Superior, because she has a Heavy Bolter and a Paragon Warblade. It's because I am very worried about the hand-to-hand combat that could be coming here as well. So I really have to get a strategy here for those 2 remaining models. We're going to be moving into hand-to-hand combat, but I will kind of sum that up on the field right now for the end of the shoot, and we'll get a few of the hand-to-hand combat in the tray, and then the rest I'll roll off. All right, so there's the aftermath. That Land Raider is crazy. It was able to kill one of the Paragon Warsuits. Luckily, they have that 4+ invulnerable save. That helped immensely, and it did not roll well at all. You saw all the dice fall off from pretty much every attack it had. So we have the Paragon Warsuit Superior with her still 4 full wounds. We have the 3+. The reason I kept this is because of this. So we have the Exalted 8-bound and also the Slaughterbound. And I need these hand-to-hand combat models here in case Orvan Val goes down in the next little bit, because I need some kind of hand-to-hand combat punch to be able to get through there. The Multi-Meltas, however, might be able to do some damage on the Land Raiders, so I'm going to have to really see what I want to do, and I do have some other hand-to-hand combat units here. This is kind of my entire hand-to-hand combat army for the Crusade, and my plan here was if I can clear out the Exalted 8-bound and the Slaughterbound, I can maybe pop them back in the Rhino and have them go across the field in the next remaining turns to take out any stragglers that might be around. We're going to get into the hand-to-hand combat now, though. I'm going to shoot this one off camera. So that is the 2 Goremongers versus the Sisters Repentia. We have the Zephyrim. I might get that on camera, might not. We'll have to see. We have the 8-bound over there on the left side against the Sisters of Battle. We have the Jackals here against the Sisters of Battle. And then we have the Cornate Berserkers with the 8-bound here against the Castigator. So we're going to have to see how all that goes. And the Bloodthirster in the middle is starting to taste that blood. It is covering the battlefield, and he wants to break out of his warp structure, get onto this planet, and completely rip it apart. So over to the tray again for some hand-to-hand. Going to do this stuff off camera first, let you guys kind of know real quick how that went, and then we'll get to the other ones that I want to roll in the tray. Okay, so this might be a bit of a long stretch here in the dice tray. I'll try to break it up. But again, this is the meat and potatoes of Warhammer 40k, so we want to see how this is going. I've completed the Jackals over by the Mausoleum Church building against the Battle Sisters. The Battle Sisters were able to kill a couple of models, and they did lose a model, even with the Magifiers 2+ and 4+ invulnerable. There was a Battle Sister that rolled a 1, so she has died. The Sisters Repentia took the attacks from the remaining Jackals over by Morven Val and the Paragon Warsuits, and they were able to kill both of those Jackals, and they did not take any wounds from the initial attack. Now this is kind of a standalone battle here happening between the 8-bound and a squad of Battle Sisters that are led by the Canoness. So we are going to see first if they can survive these attacks and get a counterattack. The 8-bound have their chain blades, and they are 5 attacks apiece, which means they have 15 attacks in total. There are 11 models here, and that is 14 wounds in total. So if I roll fully here, everything goes through. Very possible that this might be the end of all of these models. Hopefully that is not the case, and they will be able to counterattack. I'm going to grab my dice here, leaving 5 on the table. So here we go. These are the chain blades of the 8-bound hitting on a 3+. And there's no rerolls here. So a lot have fallen off, which is exactly what the Sisters needed. It is strength 8 as well versus toughness 3. The 8-bound did have different profiles previously, but now they all just get lumped into chain blades. So this is strength 8 versus toughness 3, 2s to wound. All of those are through except 1. That's a lot of dice, so I'm going to use these dice now as the save for the Sisters of Battle. So this is a -2 to AP. The Sisters have a 6+ invulnerable, but this does not bring them up to that. It brings them up to a 5+ save, and every damage that goes through here is 2 per. So very scary. They need to make 5s here. And the Emperor is definitely on their shoulder. So that is a ton of 6s and a 5. There have been 6 wounds through, but it could have been a lot worse. So 2 damage per. These were not saved. It had to be a 5 or above. So that's 2, 4, 6. I'm going to remove those models. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I usually always take my bolt gun models out first. Keep the special weapons in for sure. If you guys are ever playing, I'm thinking that's pretty straightforward. You guys probably already do that. But that is it. So the 8-bound have done that. It's going back to the Sisters of Battle here for their counterattack and the Canoness, which might have a little bit of punch. I'm hoping they can soften these guys up a bit. And we'll do that in just a sec. Okay, so here's the second half of that Battle Sister versus 8-bound fight. We still have Canoness Vaheen here too, and they are going to be able to get their counterattack in here, starting off with the Sister Superior Chainsword, hitting on a 4+, 3 attacks. 1 is through, no reroll, burns, no miracle dice that are high enough. Strength 3 versus Toughness 6. I need a 6 here to wound. Did not get it. The remaining sisters have their close combat weapons, so that is 3 close combat weapons, probably like a knife or maybe a little axe or something like that. So this is also hitting on a 4+. So 2 are through, that's good. It is strength 3 again though versus toughness 6. This is going to be 6 to wound. 1 is through. Let's see if we can get a lucky hit in here. The 8-bound as well, they have a 3+ save, so let's see. And it rolled a 6. I would have been very lucky if his sister had stabbed him in the eye or something. Anyways, we're not done yet, though. The counterattack continues. We have Canoness Vaheen here, and she's got some pretty good melee weapons, a little bit better than that close combat strength. So she has her Blessed Blade, and that is going to be 4 attacks, hitting on a 2+. All those are through. Fantastic. It is a strength 6 weapon versus toughness 6, so that is now a 4+ to wound. If a bunch fell off there. Poor Canoness Vaheen. She's had a rough go. She's an older lady. She's trying really hard. She's got her Terminator leg and all that stuff, but woof. So this one's through. It is a -2 to AP, though. That does bring the 8-bound up to a 5+ invulnerable. They did not save it, so that is 2 damage through. They do not have a feel no pain. So Canoness Vaheen, I was just sort of bad talking her. Her old woman strength has come through, and she has wounded an 8-bound and brought it down to 1 wound, but she's not done. She's got a couple profiles here. So she has her, oh no, that might be an ability. I do not want to put that in yet. So yeah, no, my bad. I thought she had 1 other weapon, so she's got the Blessed Blade, and it looks like some kind of power mace or something. Yeah, it is. It's a power weapon. I'm just looking at her model here. It's got the fleur-de-lis on it and everything. So this is an additional 4 attacks here. It doesn't say that you have to choose one or the other. So this is all it's going through. It's going to be hitting on a 2+. All through again. Good job, Canoness Vaheen. Much lower strength, though. It is strength 4 versus toughness 6. This is going to be 5s to wound. And she did still get 1 more through. Another -2 to AP. Has the 8-bound up to that 5+ invulnerable. So yeah, Canoness Vaheen has definitely proved me wrong. That is 2 damage through. She has killed an 8-bound, which is one of the strongest World Eater models there are. So that is 2 damage through. That has killed 1 and brought another one down to 2 wounds. So good job, Canoness Vaheen. I am going to probably show you guys that on the table because I definitely want to get that. It's not a unit kill, but it's still pretty damn good. So we'll go look at Canoness Vaheen and what she's done and keep these hand-to-hand combat rolls moving before I break away for some NFL football today. There she is. Don't ever bad talk her because she will go ahead and kill an 8-bound behind your back. She has old woman strength. She was able to kill an 8-bound, wound another. That is what has happened here. A lot of sisters were lost there. It is not a battle scar as of yet. Wow, this focus. I don't know what the hell is going on with it. But yeah, so we're going to move to the other hand-to-hand. Just want to break it up in the tray there. That was a bit of a long one. But we are going to move over to the others now. I might roll another couple off camera, sum those up, because I don't want this video to be too long. 2 hours seems to be the soft spot for that, but we still have the Zephyrum here. We have Morven Val, definitely going to get that one on camera. And then we have over here the Castigator versus the 8-bound and Corn Berserkers. So going to get those going. I might get 2 of those on camera. And then we'll finish this one up for turn 1. Alrighty, I definitely wanted to get this one in the tray. It is the Exalted 8-bound and the Jackals, if necessary, taking on the Zephyrum squad. The Zephyrum are not being led by anybody right now. They do not have an invulnerable save. Or they do have an invulnerable, sorry, but they don't have a feel no pain. So we'll see how this goes. The chain blades of the Exalted 8-bound have an additional attack per as well. They cost a bit more. There's a bit more of a difference between these models in the past, the 8-bound and the Exalted, but the Exalted they have that extra attack. There's 3 of them with 4 attacks per. Let me just see here. Am I putting my foot in my mouth? Oh my god, the 8-bound have 5 attacks. So the Exalted 8-bound actually have less attacks. It's so strange, and they cost 10 extra points more. I don't know. If I was playing World Eaters with these new rules, guys, I would maybe just put in a whole bunch of 8-bound, and if you have any Exalted 8-bound models, just call them 8-bound so you get that extra attack. They do have some additional like anti-monster, anti-vehicle, but in this fight, there's not too many vehicles and no monsters on the side of the Adepta Sororitas, unless they see Morven Val as kind of a holy monster. But we're going to get into this. So it is 4 attacks for 3 models, so 12 in total. Let's grab those here. Hitting on a 3+. That's pretty crazy. You pay extra points and you get less attacks. Anyways, hitting on 3+. These are set though. My rosters are set, so that is definitely. This is either a 5 or a 4, so it's a 5 if it had rolled. Either way, that would have been a pass with that 3+. Strength 8 again versus toughness 3, 2s to wound. So only 1/1 in there. All the rest are through. Not looking good for the Zephyrum squad. They do have a bit of a higher invulnerable save than some of the units. They have a 5+. So we're going to be rolling that. I'll just keep these dice because that's a lot to grab in my black dice pile. So we're looking for 5s here for the Zephyrum squad, and every attack that goes through is 2 wounds. So this is not looking good. Here we go. Yeah, and they were only able to save 1. So, man, poor Zephyrum squad. They're very fast. My fastest unit here, probably other than the Rhino and the Immolator. They just don't have that same like toughness and strength of a Space Marine. And I've been kind of using them as a Space Marine unit, and I shouldn't be. But the bolt pistols against Exalted 8-bound, maybe against the Jackals, but against Exalted 8-bound, there's no way. These things have a toughness of 6. So that means that there's been 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 wounds administered to a unit that has 5 models. The only plus here, kind of the silver lining in regards to that, is I do get a Miracle Roll dice, because that is a unit that is destroyed. I'm going to have to give them a Battle Scar now as well. Let's see what I get here for my Miracle Dice roll. And I got a 5. So that is nice. My highest roll so far. I'm going to go finish up the other hand-to-hand combats off camera, and I will come back and finish off with Morven Val versus the Slaughterbound. That is going to be one hell of a fight. And then we're going to call it quits for the day, but we'll be back in no time. So there they are. Just going to break it up here a bit. That is the victorious Cornate Exalted 8-bound squad, and Jackals. Jackals were not needed there. They took out the Zephyrum, no problem. This is a huge issue because these guys are on their own. There's no allied units very close other than the Battle Sisters, who just survived this 8-bound attack. And then there is the Celestian Sacrosanct over here with the Sisters Repentia and the Rhino. So I might be able to throw some of the units in there and have them come across here. I'm thinking my Celestian Sacrosancts for that. But then we also have over here that Land Raider and the Exalted 8-bound with the Slaughterbound here. So I'm going to have to look at that when I switch back over here to the Battle Sisters in a second. I'm going to be rolling this one off camera. It is the Castigator versus or I should say the 8-bound and the Corn versus the Castigator. They have the initiative. And then we will finish off again with Morven Val versus the Slaughterbound. So I'll roll that off camera and come back, show you guys what happened with the Castigator and the Corn here. and then we'll do Morven Val and the Slaughterbound in a second. All right, so this is it. It is the Slaughterbound versus Morven Val. I just completed the fight there between the 8-bound and the Khorne Berserkers versus the Castigator. The Castigator was in a lot of trouble, but I had that thrice blessed hull, which allowed me to do the Feel No Pain 4+. I can tell you right now, if I did not have that battle trait attached from its experience points, it would have been down to 1 wound. However, I was able to make a ton of 4+ saves, and it was only down to 9 wounds now, so it lost 2 in total. We'll do a sum up here after this as well, because this is the final hand-to-hand combat that will complete turn 1. So all of this has been going on just in the first turn of this battle, which is always what I like to see. Super active, tons of shit going around. It's great. So this is the Slaughterbound. It has an ability, the Slaughterbound, very similar to the ability of Morven Val, where she gets the 3 additional attacks if you discard a dice, so the Righteous Repugnance. In the case of the Slaughterbound, it happens once per battle, so I don't have to roll anything or discard anything. It just gets it automatically, but that's the only time I can do it. I don't think I'm going to use it here because I'll see how this lands. He still has his Exalted 8-bound behind him, so we'll see how it is. But we're going to start up with the Lacerator and Demonic Claw. So this is 6 attacks, hitting on a 2+, absolutely devastating. Here we go. If it was against anyone else, it would probably kill them, including a unit of Battle Sisters. But this is Morven Val in her crazy suit of, well, her Paragon War suit. So here we go. So all of those are through. It is Strength 8 versus the Toughness 7 of Morven Val. So this is going to be 3s to wound. 2 have fallen off. There's no rerolls. That's good. No miracle dice for the side of Khorne, so that's helpful. 4 attacks are through, though. It's a -2 to AP. So I'll switch these out for our black Adepta Sororitas dice. That brings Morven Val up to her 4+, and it's 2 damage per hit is not saved. So we're looking for 4s here for Morven Val. Woof. Okay. So that wound that she took there earlier in the battle is really going to come into play later. She's still alive, but this is not good. So 2 were saved, so she has a 4 and a 5. Great. These 2 are through. That is 2 damage per from the Slaughterbound, so we have 2, 4. Morven Val has gone from her 7 wounds down to 3 wounds. She is going to be able to fight back here. I am not able to discard a dice here either, because she used that in her turn to be able to get the Righteous Repugnance. I am, however, going to be counterattacking with the Lance of Illumination strike profile. So this is going to be 5 attacks hitting on a 2+. 1 fell off. This is a Strength 8 attack versus Toughness 6, so 3s to wound on this side as well. Oh, wow. I'm going to bring my Miracle Dice in here. She has to do some damage here, so I'm going to swap out this 2, replace it with the 5 that I rolled from the death of the Zephyrum squad. So 2 of them are through. I can't believe that. Her rolls, that's what happened to last time. They're not great. So 2 attacks are through. It's going to be a -2 to AP with that strike profile. Brings the Slaughterbound up to the 5+ invulnerable save. And it did not roll well either. So that is 3 damage per this time. So we have 3, 6. And that is actually the end of the Slaughterbound. So Morven Val, just like that, took the Lance of Illumination and plunged it through the Slaughterbound's heart or head or whatever. Killed it. I'm just checking here to see who kind of falls into the second in command spot here. It's probably one of the Exalted 8-bound, but that is incredible. So Morven Val has killed the Warlord of this force. It's still far from over. We have that damn Land Raider here. Tons of 8-bound, tons of Exalted 8-bound. But that was a big one. I was really worried that she might go down there and get really severely injured. She's not doing great. 3 wounds left, but she was able to kill the Warlord. So I'll do a quick summation there of the battle so far. That is the end of turn 1. So our Adepta Sororitas have gone, as well as our World Eaters / Khorne models. Now it's going to flip back over to the Adepta Sororitas. So we'll do the sum up here, I'm going to roll the miracle dice, and that is it, and it's off to watch some football. All right, so let's do kind of a sum up there from the fight here. A pretty good round on this side of the table from both sides. The two tanks just blasting away at those Khorne Berserkers, though, and the 8-bound have really softened them up, so we lost almost the entire Khorne Berserker squad. They still have 2 models left with the 8-bound. Terminators have also lost the model. They were able to strip a few wounds, though, off of the Penitent engine. The Castigator also went down a couple wounds. The Retributor squad is still healthy. These are 2 of the units here that have those battle traits, which are going to help out immensely. The Immolator 2 is able to roll around there and see. This thing is very fast, so I might try to cross it over the table next turn to start giving some support over on this side of the table, because that was a bit of a bigger loss by the Sisters of Battle. Down here, the Battle Sisters, I don't see there being an issue here. I think we'll be able to clear out these Jackals with probably some ranged attacks in the next turn, but we'll see what I want to do there. This Land Raider is a huge problem. And even though Marvin Val was able to kill the Slaughterbound, if the double las cannons and the heavy bolters fire into her, that might be the end of that model, as we saw what happened to the Paragon Warsuits. There's a very large gaggle here too of the Sisters Repentia, as well as the Celestian Sacrosanct. I need to get these guys into that tank and moving over here, because this force is not facing anyone right now. They were able to kill those Zephyrim no problem, which was kind of bad strategy on my part. I should have had some more units closer to them. And then also here, same kind of story. Very possible that these Battle Sisters and the Canoness might go down. She did super well this last turn, though, so if she can keep having those kind of rolls, it'd be great. And the biggest thing is 3 more turns, and if the Sisters of Battle cannot kill every single Khorne Berserker on this table and Khornate model, then this big motherfucking Bloodthirster gets released, and that is a loss for them. So we're going to get back to the Adepta Sororitas here for you guys in a second. For me, probably a couple of days. I'm going to go watch some football. Got work tomorrow. Maybe after work, we'll see what happens. Keep chipping away at this a turn at a time. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. It's been a lot of fun. Really cool battle. And the Adepta Sororitas have been kind of surprising me. Their offensive abilities, not too bad at all. So yeah, that's it for now. But if you guys are watching NFL football, enjoy today. If not, keep watching my videos, and we'll be back in no time. For you guys again, just a couple seconds. For me, might be a day or two. Alrighty, see you in a bit. Yes, and with turn 2 just about to start here for the Sororitas, we do need a miracle dice roll. So I have none in the pool right now. I used one there with Morvan Val last time, which was, I think, a good call because she was able to kill the Slaughterbound. So here it is. It's a 3, not amazing. That might be able to help with maybe an invulnerable save or an attack or something, or discard that for future attack. But yeah, we'll get back to the Adepta Sororitas here in a sec. I'll do their move and show you guys what they're about. Hello everybody, we're back. Turn 2 here for the Adepta Sororitas move. Great football day yesterday. My Packers did fantastic. Sorry if you guys are Lions fans out there, but I'm hoping it's going to be a great season for my Packers. Anyways, back to Warhammer, another amazing game that I love. So the movement has been completed here. I kept the Adepta Sororitas squad here with the Canoness. They're going to try to blast away at the 8-bound here, and I'm hoping that there's enough strength in those weapons and I get good enough rolls that I can do it. We've got the Melt-A-Gun, we've got the Heavy Flamer, and the Canoness has a Plasma Pistol. So hoping that might be enough to chip a few wounds away. If I'd rushed into hand-to-hand combat here, it would be an absolute waste of my ranged weapons. And the 8-bound probably would have survived a lot of those attacks because they're coming in at a strength 6. Maybe the Canoness could have done a couple more wounds. But in this case, they're going to be able to shoot. And then if they do get rushed, I can allocate those wounds that do come into the Adepta Sororitas Sisters of Battle. Over here, the Penitent Engine and the Mortifier went into hand-to-hand combat with the Terminators. I'm really hoping here that at least that Mortifier or the Penitent Engine is going to be able to do something before it does go down. Very possible the Terminators are going to be able to do a counterattack, but I'm hoping with the power of those double buzzsaws that they can cut through them and finish them off. The Castigator here, as well as the Retributors, are in great range to be able to put more firepower down on the 8-bound here and the 2 Khorne Berserkers. And then the Retributor or the Immolator also rolled in behind to be able to put those heavy flamers down on that same unit. So these guys are going to be taking on a lot of firepower here from some very heavy weapons. The Castigator, so I'm hoping that they get wiped right out. And then there's enough turns to kind of move this whole unit over here to help out on this side, but we'll get there in a sec. Here too, I didn't want to rush the Battle Sisters in. The Jackals are pretty good in hand-to-hand combat, so I didn't want to risk it. And with our ranged weaponry here still almost at a full unit, I should be able to hopefully plink away at that 6+ save. They don't have cover, so I'm hoping to just cut them apart with some bolt gun fire from the heavy bolter, burn them from the flamer. And there's no plasma in there, but we've got kind of a Melta there on the combi weapon. So they've got the thrice going on here, the Holy Melta, Bolter, and Flamer. And then they can rush through as well. The side over here is what's bothering me a little bit. I decided not to rush in with my Paragon Warsuits, so they're going to blast away at that Land Raider, but this Land Raider still has full wounds, incredible weapon systems, so that's going to be the biggest thing to get off the table. Luckily, there's no units in it. If they had transported like an 8-bound or Exalted 8-bound, it would be not good. So my Paragon Warsuits are going to chip away at that. Morven Val has gone in against the Exalted 8-bound here, and she is being supported by her sisters Repentia that are trying to prove themselves. If they go down in battle, they're doing it right in front of their, High Lord of Terror there in Morven Val, so that'd be a good way for them to go, but hopefully we can chip away some wounds or maybe kill a couple of these models and keep rolling. And then down here too, there's a lot. These are the ones that took out the Zephyrim. So I have rolled my Rhino around. I'm going to be blasting at the Jackals with the Stormbolter here. I didn't want to let my troops out. What is in there currently is the Hospitaller and the Celestine Sacrosanct. So I'm going to hold them in there, that little armored case, until, we'll see that it's probably going to get rushed. Hopefully it doesn't get exploded. But I'm going to chip away at them, and then next turn I will release the Celestine Sacrosanct with the Hospitaller, and hopefully they can chip away at that. And then last but not least, down here again, we have the Canoness led by those Battle Sisters. So we are going to get to the shoots now. I don't think I'm going to roll everything on camera. This one I might actually do all off camera, come back, show you guys what Khorne models have been killed, and then we'll move into hand-to-hand, and I definitely want to get some of that on the dice tray camera. So, all right, let's get back to it. Got to lock ourselves in here. Adepta Sororitas turn 2 into the shoots, and I'll show you guys in a sec what has occurred there. All right, let's start over here. That is the end of the Adepta Sororitas shoot phase. They actually had a very good ranged phase. As you can see, the Battle Sister squad here, led by the Imagifier, was able to wipe out all of the Jackals that were in front of them. They got some really good rolls. The Jackals don't have a great save. They didn't have cover, so that is a experience kill unit point for the Battle Sister squad. Over here, the Immolator fired into what used to be the Khorne Berserkers and the 8-bound that were here. The Immolator did not do well. It didn't actually hit anything. It was over here, the Retributor squad and the Castigator that were able to really pick wounds off. The Castigator also didn't have a great round, but the Retributors held strong, and they got another unit kill there with the Khorne Berserkers and with the 8-bound. So that was another couple of points for them, which is fantastic, adding towards the tally for maybe another battle trait before the end of this campaign. We'll see. Still have to do the hand-to-hand combat here, hoping that goes well. We'll see if the rolls are as good as they were for my ranged. They might do really well. Over here, a little, I wouldn't say disappointing. They still did quite good. This unit has been kind of decimated a bit here, but the Canoness fired with her plasma pistol, the bolt guns fired, the heavy flamer fired, and the Melta fired. They were able to kill the 8-bound that was here, and then the remaining does have 3 wounds and can get into hand-to-hand combat. So Canoness Vaheen is going to really have to fight hard there, because that 8-bound is able to probably chop all the remaining models that are there in one turn, but we will see how that goes. Over here, we'll see if the strategy pays off. My Rhino with its Stormbolter got the rapid ability there, so got a few extra dice rolls, was able to kill 2 of the Jackals. I didn't even want to put those rounds on the Exalted 8-bound because the toughness is just too high. Probably would have been wasted. So we do still have the Celestine Sacrosanct and the Hospitaller inside the back of the Rhino. They will be let loose the next turn, but right now I wanted to keep them safe and secure, as the 8-bound are probably going to rush that tank and try to chop it up. And if they do, there might be some wounds coming off of them, or might kill some units. Over here, the Paragon Warsuits tried their best. The Multi-Melta there has an okay strength. Against the toughness, though, of the Land Raider, there was nothing that could be done. And the Heavy Bolter from the Paragon Suit Superior also just bounced off of that adamantium shell of the Land Raider, so nothing was done there, and now they face the brunt once again of double las cannon arrays on the sponsons there, and then again, these are heavy bolters. They're not las cannons, so that's going to be a heavy bolter profile. But first, we are going to get to the hand-to-hand combat here. So we've got Morvenval and the Sisters Repentia with their superior. And we also have the Mortifier Penitent Engine over here versus the Terminators. So we are going to roll those on the tray. I want to get back on the dish, show you guys how that goes. And good luck to our Adepta Sororitas. Let's see how they do. All right, so we are in the tray for the Adepta Sororitas turn 2 melee phase. This is going to finish off their turn here, so I'm really hoping for some good rolls and some models to be killed. We're going to start up with the Penitent Engine and the Mortifier versus the Terminators. They pretty much have to kill these Terminators here or reduce them by quite a bit, because I was just looking at the Chaos Terminators weapon profiles, and we have a Chain Fist, a Power Fist, and 2 Accursed Weapons. And they get some crazy attacks. The paired, it doesn't look like they have paired accursed weapons. If it's paired, that would be like a power axe and a power maul, or a power axe and another power axe, I guess, because these are corn. That would give them 5 attacks, and they'd be twin linked. So luckily we're not dealing with that, but there's still a hell of a lot of weapons, and they have a pretty damn good strength. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to roll with the Penitent Engine first. So we have used these in the past. They're pretty good. This is going to be the twin Penitent Buzzblades. Both models have those. And we're going to roll. These also have twin linked, which is great. So I'm going to grab the 4 dice here for the twin Penitent Buzzblades. They also have a strength 10, which is pretty damn good for a Chaos Chopper. I just have to be able to roll here. I also forgot to mention, during my shoot, the ranged attack phase there, I actually used my Miracle Dice. So I had a 3 that I'd rolled earlier. I needed that for the Retributors to be able to put away the last of the 8-bound, so that was used. So I've got nothing to fall back on here. The Twin Penitent Buzzblades hit on a 4+, so we need to see 4s here. Yeah, pretty good roll. Pretty good roll. So 3 of those are through. Strength 10 versus toughness 5. This is going to be 2s to wound. Come on, all 2s. Yes. Been rolling a lot of 1s, especially in the shoot phase there, so I'm happy to not see that this time. It is -3 to AP, so that is going to bring our Terminators up to a 4+ save. And if they do not make the save, that is going to be 2 damage per. So they made 1 save with the Invulnerable. That's okay. This, however, is 2 4 wounds. Each Terminator model has 3 wounds. I'm just seeing if anyone was wounded. So we have 3. Removing a model here just so I'm tracking. I'm going to take care of the guy on the side here. Want to keep the Reaper autocannon in case these guys get another shoot. And of course, I am playing strategically for my corn models as well. So that was 2 4. We have 3, and then 1 is down to 2 wounds. So not a bad round by the first Penitent Engine. Well, I should say the only Penitent Engine. The Mortifier is a different model, but they look very similar. Also have a very similar weapon profile. So now we are going to move on to the Mortifier. I'm just going to get its profile up here. All right. So we have the twin Penitent Buzzblades hitting on a better weapon skill, though. It is now 3+, so that is a huge bonus. The Mortifier is also piloted by a sister. I guess she was a Repentia that didn't do nice things while she was supposed to be repenting, and they popped her inside the Mortifier coffin, so she's just like in there. I think similar to like a Clockwork Orange, watching a whole bunch of images in front of her face of like the Emperor crying or something on the throne. And she's, just losing it because that bothers her greatly. And then the Penitent engine looks like it's a dude that was like a penal colonist, and he's just been strapped in, same kind of thing. Probably looking at maybe different images because I don't think he'd care too much about the Emperor. That's why he's in there. So, anyways, I like making up stories for some of the models. It's fun. So twin penitent buzzblades, just like Grink Grink there, the Gretchen on the back of our Orc Warlord that was in the last fight. Hitting on 3 pluses. Shit. So 50%, not good. This is still strength 10 though versus toughness 5. Fuck, I don't think this is going to be enough to kill him. Let's see. 2s to wound. Oh, that would have been nice to have gotten earlier. So double 6s. That's really good. That's going to bring the Terminators back up to that 4+ invulnerable, however. So here we go. And 1 was saved. We have a 6. 1 was not. So that is 2 more damage to that unit of Terminators. That kills the model that I allocated the wounds to last turn. And all that remains of those Terminators is the Terminator Champion and the Reaper Autocannon Gunner. But they are going to be able to fight back here. And I'm very worried for the Penitent Engine because it will be taking the attacks first. So we will start rolling here with what remains. I have to get the Penitent Engine up here again because I need its profile. So the 2 that were killed had a Cursed Weapons. Now there is a Power Fist and a Chain Fist, which are probably the 2 stronger weapons here. So we're going to roll for the Chain Fist first. That is 3 attacks hitting on a 4+. Wow. Okay. I'll take that. Maybe the Emperor liked my my comedy there about our Mortifier and Penitent Engine. So none of those went through. That is amazing for our 2 Walker models. And now we move over to the Power Fist, which is hitting on 3+. Easier to hit with that thing. And 2 are through there, so this is not good. It is strength 8, very strong weapon, versus toughness 6. This is going to be 3s to wound. 1 has not wounded. That is good. The Penitent Engine is brought up to its 6+ invulnerable. The armor penetration is -2. So our Penitent Engine usually has a 4+ save. You subtract or add the 2 onto that to make it a harder roll to get. So we need a 6 now to save it. Don't have any miracle dice either for that. So let's hope for a 6 here. If not, the Penitent Engine is going down. And it was a 2. So we have lost the Penitent Engine. I am going to remove it from play. And I have to mark another battle scar for that. I think, no, that might be its first. I may have used some requisition points in the past to remove that, but the Penitent Engine has gone down to the Terminators. All that remains there is the Mortifier. However, the Terminators are surrounded, so I'm going to have to get a plan together there for the next Adepta Sororitas turn. And the Reaper Autocannon is still quite devastating for shooting, so they might either go into hand-to-hand combat against that Mortifier and take the advantage next turn, or they're going to shoot it and see what happens. So I'm going to hop over here in a sec. We'll show you guys the outcome of that, and then we're going to get into the fight that I'm looking most forward to, which is Morvenn Vahl and her sisters Repentia versus 3 Exalted 8-bound. All right, so that is concluded. We have the Mortifier still going with 5 wounds. The 2 Terminators that remain both have their 3, total of 6. I was looking there, the Penitent Engine did have a battle scar before this fight, but it was the -1 to OC, so I didn't place any token beside it because this is not an objective control battle. However, it has been given the -1 to movement now as well, so crippling damage. That's probably going to affect it in the future. We still have at least 2 fights remaining for the Crusade, so hopefully that won't hold them up too much because these 2 kind of like to move in a pair. Around those Terminators too, though, we have the Immolator, we have the Retributors, we have the Castigator. I might actually swing the Immolator around, maybe pick up some models to try to bring them over here because I need to get some speed going. I don't know if these sisters are going to survive this. We'll see in a second. This is also a problem, but we are moving to the tray again to film Morvenn Vahl and her sisters Repentia versus the Exalted 8-bound. The Sisters of Battle have the initiative here, so they will be fighting first. But then the Exalted 8-bound will be coming back. The biggest thing here is we need to kill some models, so we're not facing every single Exalted 8-bound attack at like, I think, a strength 8. So over the tray, let's get this going, and hopefully we can kill a couple of these Exalted 8-bound and add to the battle tally of units killed for the sisters. Okay, another big one here. We also have Morvenval pretty beat up there after fighting the Slaughterbound, and that unit of Jackals that you took on, or sort of the Goremongers at the start of the fight. She only has 3 wounds left. So this is big. The World Eaters have already lost their Warlord. Hopefully the Sisters don't lose theirs. But we're starting with the Sisters Repentia. This is going to be the Neural Whips of the Repentia Superior, and it is 4 attacks hitting on a 3+. All of those are through. Amazing. I also don't have any miracle dice left. As I said during the shoot there, I used it for the Retributors, so there's nothing here to help us out. This sucks. It is strength 3 versus toughness 6. It's going to be 6 to wound. Nothing. So the Neural Whip fell off. Nothing happened there. The Penitent Eviscerator, however, bit of a higher strength. That's going to be strength 6 versus toughness 6. So when we get to the wound roll, that's going to help out substantially. And we still have the full unit. So 2, 4, 6, 8 attacks in total. I'll roll. We'll roll them one at a time for sort of dramatic effect. So each Penitent Eviscerator has a 2 attack hitting on a 4+. Okay, one of those fell off. Ugh. Ay, ay, ay. So we lost all these dice here. They did not roll high enough. I can't sub anything in. So that's 1, 1, 2, 2, 3 removed. And this is going to be what's going through. They are strength 6 versus toughness 6. I was hoping for more from the Repentia here. It would have been great. So 4 to wound. And 2 more fell off. So only 1 attack from the 4 of them is through. It is a -2 to AP, so that does bring the Exalted 8-bound up to their 5+ invulnerable. And it also made the save. So as the Emperor has been kind of looking out for our sisters here, it looks like the Blood God Khorne is looking out for his disciples as well, and the Exalted 8-bound have taken no damage from the entire Repentia squad. It now turns over to Morvenval. I also don't have a dice here to use for her ability to add 3 attacks, so it looks like these 8-bound are going to be coming back pretty hard. I'm going to have to use the strike profile here too to get that strength 8. So this is going to be 5 attacks. Can't sub anything in here. Can't get extra attacks right now. Maybe should have saved that 3. Anyways, looking back. Anyways, so let's do this. It's going to be hitting on a 2+. Oh man, and 2 more fell off. So that's a 1 and a 1. Can't re-roll them. Can't pull anything from the dice pool. This is strength 8 versus toughness 6. 3s to wound. Oh man, and 2 more fell off. 1 is through. It is a -2 to AP. Again, that is going to bring the Exalted 8-bound up to a 5+ invulnerable. And wow, saved it. So if that had gone through, it would have been 3 damage. It would have removed a full Exalted 8-bound model. That is not the case here. So the Exalted 8-bound are coming on the counterattack now. I will be able to allocate those wounds to the Sisters Repentia first because they are with Morvenval as a unit right now, all fighting in hand-to-hand. But this is not good. I really hope that the poor rolls switch over to our Exalted 8-bound, but we'll see here. So we have 3 times 4. There's going to be 12 attacks coming in here. I will also roll these for dramatic effect. So the Chain Blades, luckily these aren't 8-bound. Again, we saw the 8-bound have an extra attack per model. Don't understand it, but anyways, these are higher point models. They do have a bit of a bonus there for anti-monster, anti-vehicle, but we're not using that in these battles. I just want this to be straightforward and plain, but we're still getting 12 attacks through here. This would have been reduced to would have been 8 if those attacks had gone through from Morvenval. So hitting on 3+, here's the first one. Oh, not good. It looks like the dice rolls have switched for this one. Oh, wow. And last one. So the last one kind of fell off. Saw his buddies getting in there and chopping things up and kind of was distracted. So these are all going against the Repentia. It is strength 8 versus toughness 3. This is going to be 2s to wound. Wow, a lot fell off there though. So we got 3 off. These are all through. I'm just going to use these to roll for the sisters as well. So it is a -3 to AP. They do have their 6+ invulnerable. So that is what is going to happen here. And then actually, they do have the feel no pain 5+ as well. So if these are failed, I can roll them again and hope for a 5. So that's that Emperor pushing them and wanting them to repent for him. So here we go, looking for 6s. So 1 was saved. That's great. I can't use this 5 because this was the save roll. So it switches over to the feel no pain now. So this has been saved. Looking for 5s now. And another 2 are saved. All right. But we have 2 damage per. So that is 2, 4, 6. There's no multi-wounds here. That is a unit with 5 wounds total. So our sisters repent. You have all been killed. Luckily, Morven Val was not affected as those attacks fall off. So the Repentia sisters have been killed. I'm going to have to give them a battle scar. And we'll get back to the table here in just a sec to show you guys the aftermath of that. Wow. Morven Val is all alone again. Kind of. She has her Paragon Warsuits behind her, but they're kind of dealing with the Land Raider. They might go down. So I need to get some sisters over to the side of the table like ASAP. But I'll show you guys the table, and then we're going to get into the World Leaders turn 2. Okay, so just switching over to the World Leaders after this, I just wanted to show you guys the outcome of that battle there. I actually have to move Morgan Ball back. She's kind of in the range there as well now of the Land Raider. So that is what happened. Morven Val is also down to 3 wounds, which is not good. The 8-bound were unaffected. They all have their full 3 wounds, each model. The Paragon Warsuits are also open now to the Land Raiders attack. Got to get some sisters down here to help out big time. The Rhino as well is probably going to get swarmed. Hopefully no one gets killed in there that's embarked. Down here, we're going to see. I'm going to get to the move. I don't want to show everything to you guys now. And we will come back in just a sec. I'll show you guys what the World Leaders have done. I'll be playing super hard for them too. Got to look at the table, get a strategy together for them as well. As the battle's kind of weaning away. After this, there's only 2 turns as well after the World Leaders are done. So that is not much time for the Sisters of Battle. They got to move, especially if this side of the table falls. And these World Leaders are able to regroup. So let's move them and see what the World Leaders have done. Alrighty, so pretty easy move there by the World Leaders. They want to get in. They want to get in hand-to-hand combat. That's what they're good at. That's what they're being told to do by Khorne. Get those skulls for the Skull Throne and blood for the Blood God. So the Jackals and Exalted 8-bound have rushed the Rhino. Those Exalted 8-bound are still in full wound form, and they've got some very strong weapons, so hopefully that Rhino can survive. And in the back of it, again, is the Celestine Sacrosancts and the Hospitaller. Not too far away from them, the other unit of Exalted 8-bound, also with their full 3 wounds apiece, have rushed in against Morven Val. She only has 3 wounds total remaining. It might be her downfall, we'll have to see. Here I moved the Land Raider back to make sure that I'm getting the Heavy Bolter bonus. If that's given to Chaos, I forget because it's a vehicle as well. And it is firing into the Paragon Warsuits. I am more worried, however, about the Lascannon Sponsons and their soul-shattering ability. So they're not just going to kill the Paragon Warsuits, they're going to shatter the soul of the sisters inside of it. Over here, I still have some models, as we saw, but they have to get across the table to help out. They're pretty useless right now. And the Terminators here decided to go into hand-to-hand combat to hold up the Mortifier. They're also going to get the initiative. We saw last time they still have some very strong weapons, Power Fist and Chain Fist, and that might make quick work out of the Mortifier. It also, if they win, has to have some of this force held up to be able to take them out. So I'm going to have to either keep the Retributors here or the Castigator here or something to be able to try to kill them. And our Bloodthirster is waiting patiently to be released from his warp prison. And we're going to see here the battle is again almost halfway over. Only 2 turns after this World Leader turn to see if the Adepta Sororitas can continue to kill more models.
and that Land Raider is going to be the toughest one on the list. So let's get over to the tray. I am going to do the shoots, some hand-to-hand combat, and we will see how this goes. All right, so let's get to the tray here. The only shoot on the board right now is the Land Raider versus the Paragon Warsuits. Definitely in range, definitely in line of sight. So this is going to start off with the Twin Heavy Bolter. It is 3 attacks hitting on a 4+, and it is twin linked, which means, oh, it does get rapid fire too. I'm glad I checked. So we get 2 more dice. I should check its abilities too. Has to do with the assault ramp, so that's okay. So Twin Heavy Bolters. It does have the rapid fire 2. We're within 18 inches. I made sure of that to pick up that bonus. This is hitting on a 4+. Oof, lucky for the Paragon Warsuits that did not go through. I can't reroll this because Twin Linked is for the wound roll, not for the hit roll. So these are removed. It is a strength 5 weapon versus toughness 7. Another saving grace is the Paragon Warsuits have some pretty good strength considering that they're walkers. Toughness. So it is going to be a 5 to wound. And it was a 1, but I can re-roll that because of the twin linked. And it has not. So 2 1s, that is good. At least they've survived the heavy bolter shots. However, we still have the Soul Shatter las cannons. Oh, shit. And they actually have that rapid fire 2 as well. So I'm just going to check here. It has to be within 24 inches. It should be, since I just checked that it was 18. Yeah, definitely in 18, definitely in 24. So it's going to pick up. That's crazy. That's insane. So you have a Soul Shatter las cannon that has 4 dice per shot. Holy shit. All right, hitting on a 4+. I'll roll them one at a time. That is good. And that is good. So, okay. I guess they give you a couple more dice there just to make sure that you're getting your shots, because it's harder to get a 4 than a 3. So these have all fallen off. They don't count. These are twin linked though, so I'm going to be able to reroll these. It is it's not twin linked, so I won't be able to reroll the wound. It is strength 12 versus toughness 7, 3s to wound. So I can't reroll that. I was looking at the heavy bolter profile. Apologies. That falls off. 2 are through though. It is -3 to AP, which has our Paragon Warsuits up to the 4+. Oh, shit. And they saved it. Wow. Good job, Paragon Warsuits. So a 5 and a 4. If that had not been saved, it would have been D6 plus 1 damage. So very, very possible that both units would have been killed. It would have been another battle scar. They're already busted up enough. They've been doing a lot of the heavy lifting through the beginning of the Crusade till now. But they continue to fight. And now we're going to get over to the hand-to-hand combat here in just a sec. And I think I'm going to start that up off camera with the Terminators versus the Mortifier, off camera with the 8-bound versus the Sisters of Battle and Canoness Vaheen. And then on camera, I will probably get Morven Val and the Adepta Sororitas Rhino. But I'll come back in a sec there, show you guys the table for what's happened for those other hand-to-hand fights and break up the camera a little bit between the dice tray and the battle. All right, so we have to start with this. I wish I'd gotten it in the tray. Sometimes this happens. Canoness Vaheen is not taking shit from anybody today. I have to roll the miracle dice, but the Battle Sister squad that was with her was killed by that lone 8-bound that was left with 3 wounds. Canoness Vaheen did not take any wounds, as there was only 4 delivered, so those 4 were killed, and then she went ballistic, and she was able to kill that 8-bound. So I think she's killed 2 8-bound of that unit. She gets a unit kill for that as well. So just fantastic. I got to get her butt down here to help take on some of these exalted 8-bound. She is hot today, so let's do that if I can. Try to get a tank rolled around to her and see what's going on. Down here as well, the Penitent Buzzblades did okay. They were able to wound one of the Terminators down to 2 wounds. However, the Mortifier did take some wounds first. It's down from 5 to 3, but it did survive, and now these Terminators are open to a whole bunch of fire. This one is pretty close to Canoness Vaheen. It's also close to that squad, but it can only pick up 6 models. So I don't know if I have enough turns to drive it down here, pick up the Retributors, drive it over here, pick up Canoness Vaheen, and then drive it over here. So I'm going to have to see what I do. Anyways, we still have to see if Morven Val is going to go down here. There is still this fight here. it is hand-to-hand combat. So our Warlord versus 3 Exalted 8-bounds, she is beat up as well. She only has 3 wounds remaining. And then also the Sororitas Rhino, if this thing goes down, it might explode in a deadly demise and kill some or all of the embarked models, which is the Celestine Sacrosanct and the Hospitaller. So over to the tray, we're going to get that rolling right away. I'm going to start off with the Sororitas Rhino, and then we'll finish up the World Leaders turn 2 with the Exalted 8-bound versus Morvenval. All right, here we go. Over to the tray. Before I forget, we are going to roll that Miracle Dice for the Lost Battle Sister squad. The 8-bound was able to kill them. That slipped out, but that is going to be a roll, so it's another 3. Might be able to use that for Morvenval. We'll have to see how the attacks come in there. I don't want to waste anything, but she might need those extra attacks for the Lance of Illumination to be able to finish off these Exalted 8-bound. First thing is first, though, we're going to get the Sororitas Rhino up here. It does have a melee profile, but it's armored tracks, and it first has to survive these attacks. So I will start off with the Jackals with their melee weapons. Just looking here, they have 1, 2, 3 with chain blades. So that is going to be 9 dice total. 3, 6, 9. And then we're going to get to the paired manglers, which are on the large Jackal model. So let's start with the chain blades, hitting on a 4+. Okay, that's good. You never know, like the more attacks you get through, the more there's a chance of a lucky roll there, because the strength is not good with the Jackals for their attacks, but we saw Morvenval go down to them earlier. She lost a wound. So let's see how this goes. It is a strength 3 attack versus toughness 9. It's going to be 6s to wound. And there you go. 2 are through. The tank as well doesn't have the best save. It's got a 3+, so you can tell like these things are stabbing in through eye holes. The driver could be trying to look out, so it's very possible that they could take those wounds. There's no AP, so it is going to be the regular 3+ save. And just like that, the Rhino has lost a wound. So it goes down from 10 to 9 from the chain blade of a Jackal. Does not bode well for what's to come, because we have the big Mama Jama here from the Jackals, and then the Exalted 8-bound, which is even more worrisome. So we're going to do the paired manglers now, which is 4 attacks hitting on a 4+ also. Luckily, none of those made it through. That's great. It's a strength 4, but again, if I had gotten some lucky rolls there, it might have been okay. The Exalted 8-bounds here, luckily it's not the 8-bound because they get 5 attacks apiece, but this is still going to be 12 attacks. So I'm going to grab those dice and we will roll them for dramatic effect as well. So here are the Exalted 8-bound with their chain blades. 4 attacks hitting on a 3+ for the first. Okay. Next one. And last one. Last one did super well all through. These 2 fell off. We needed 3s. This one fell off. That's still a lot of attacks. And they're strength 8 versus toughness 9. And, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you guys, I did do Blessings of Corn. I didn't get it on camera. I rolled it right at the beginning of the phase there when I was covering the table. And it's not going to come into play here because everyone was in range. But I activated the 3 to 6 inch pile-in. And then also, if they weren't able to fight during any of the phase, they have 1 more attack if they're in hand-to-hand combat. That's not going to be the case here since they're on the initiative. Anyway, so here we go. This is strength 8 versus toughness 9. We need 5s to wound. So that toughness of the Rhino is helping out a bit here. So those all fell off. These are through, though. We have 4 attacks through. It is a -3 to AP, 2 damage per. And that's going to bring the Rhino up to its invulnerable 6+ save. So 1 was saved. We needed that for sure, because I think that would have been the end of it if that hadn't been saved. So there's 2, 4, 6 damage. It is down to 3 wounds. So it would have been down to 1 wound if that other attack had gone through. It has gone from 9 to 6. And it is going to be able to fight back here. So the driver is going to roll back a little bit and then roll forward with the armored tracks to try to crush these Jackals for sure. So 3 attacks, 4+. Nothing there other than the 6. Strength 6, toughness 3. So we're going to need 2s to wound. There we go. And it is 0 to AP. So the Jackals are still going to get a save. and it will be a 6+. So I'll get their dice out here. And one has died, so it's 1 damage. It did at least kill a jackal, but that rhino is smoking right now. They were able to slash the shit out of it. I need my Celestine Sacrosanct out here next turn for sure. So that is another jackal dead. That's no extra points for a kill or anything, but at least it's one less model to deal with when the Sacrosancts disembark with the Hospitaller. And that's still a unit. So the Exalted 8 bound are with the Jackals. So if there's any bonuses there, that's going to be allocated to the Jackals. And also there will be the ability for me as the Khorne player to be able to allocate those first wounds, if there are any, from the Celestine Sacrosancts on to the Jackals first. But I'll show you guys what happened there, and then we'll come back to the tray and see how Morvenval does. There we go. So that is the the last turn of turn 2 there, second last phase, because we still have the melee for Morvenval, but that's what remains. So the Rhino took a shit kicking. It is down to 3 wounds. It was able to kill a Jackal, luckily. And then we're going to be back over to the Adepta Sororitas here soon. I can also maybe pull this Rhino out and start picking up some models that are across the table, because it does move 12 inches, well, actually 11 because of that crippling damage battle scar. But I need to start getting some models in here to help out if the Sacrosancts can't get the job done. So over to Morvenval, though. This is the fight here to finish off turn 2 for the game. And then we're going to go back to the Adepta Sororitas for their move turn 3, see how this goes. It's still anyone's game right now. There's not too many World Eater models remaining, but the ones that are remaining are still very strong, and my Adepta Sororitas models are not very close here to give the support. But first, we have to see if the Warlord is going to go down or not, so over to the tray. Harry Guide Emperor, please protect Morvenval. Let's see how it goes here. So this is not good. The Exalted 8-bound haven't been rolling amazing, but they are getting the initiative here. Morvenval is also super beat up. She's got 3 wounds remaining from her original 8. The chain blades are coming in again here. I will roll again for dramatic effect. So there's still 3 healthy, fully healthy Exalted 8-bound. They're hitting on a 3+. All of those are through. That sucks. Okay. And okay. So these fall off. All the rest are through. They are strength 8 attacks versus Morvenval's toughness 7. This is going to be 3s to wound, so she does not have the same armor as that Rhino that we just saw. So these are going to be 3s to wound Morvenval. And all of those are through except for 1. It is a -3 to AP. That brings Morvenval up to her 4+. I'm going to use these red dice for her save. You know what? Maybe not. 2, 4, 6, 8. Superstitious here. So let's try to get her Adepta Sororitas assigned black dice for this battle. 2, 4, 6, 8. Whew, here we go. So looking for 4s. And I'm just seeing again, I don't think she has Abbas Sanctorum. Yeah. That's when she's leading a unit. She hasn't really been able to do that either. Everyone's been chopped apart around her. So this is going to be 4+. And everyone that goes through is 2 damage, and there's nothing really here to save her. My miracle dice roll is a 3, so that's also not going to help. So here we go. It's in the Emperor's hands. Pretty fucking good roll, actually. Pretty damn good roll. She tried her best. So she saved over 50%. However, there's 2, 4, 6. That would have also almost taken her out at the very beginning of the fight. So Morvenval has gone down. However, there is a deadly demise built into her suit, which means that, well, I'll read you guys the profile. We've done it a couple times, but it's a core ability. So some models have deadly demise X. In this case, it is 1. So this is going to be 1 mortal wound if I roll high enough. So you roll 1d6 before removing the model from play, which is in this case Morvenval. On a 6, each unit within 6 inches of that model suffers a number of mortal wounds. Oh no, her Paragon Warsuits are within the same area. So that means that her ammunition, her fuel, whatever's on that suit is going to blow up. So both Paragon Warsuits are also possibly going to be ripped apart here by shrapnel or whatever happens. So we are not hoping for a 6 here. I'm going to roll a white dice. It's my miracle dice, hoping that it doesn't roll a 6. I want something low this time. And it's a 4. So everyone's okay. Morvenval is not. She exploded. However, there was no mortal wounds delivered to the Paragon war suits that were with her. However, none to the Exalted 8-bound either. So I'm going to show you guys the table there. That is the end of turn 2. The Adepta Sororitas have lost their warlord. The world leaders have as well, though. And Morvenval held on a lot longer than he did. So I'm going to show you guys the table here real quick. And then now we'll get into turn 3. All right, so this is what remains after that turn 2 for the world eaters. There are the 2 Paragon war suits. One is still at full health, one is not. The Land Raider is still within range. They also have the Exalted 8-bound beside them too. I really have to think about what I want to do. The Exalted 8-bound there might be pretty attractive because when I'm in hand-to-hand, there might be a little bit of cover from that building. However, the Land Raider can just kind of wheel around and shoot in there, so we'll see what happens. The Rhino's down here. It's going to let out its cargo there, but I hope they can hold up at least for a little bit against that unit. It's going to be a tough battle, but if they can hold off with that Hospitaller buffing them out, that'll be great. That Rhino's in trouble too. I have to get this thing moving. I have to get it out to pick up more models. Canoness Vaheen's got to bust her ass down. She's also got that crippling damage. So this is when battle scars really start to affect you. You might not think like, oh yeah, -1 to move, no problem. In a battle like this, she's moving 6 inches, which isn't crazy fast, and now it's down to 5. So that's like 1 turn, 2 turns, game's over because there's only 2 turns left. So I've got to get something there to pick her up. Over here, we have the Terminators. I'm not really worried about them. I'm thinking I have enough turns to finish them off. I just have to pick which models I want to keep down here to do that job. The Retributors might stay because they'll lose their heavy if they move. But if I move a bit closer, it might add some extra damage there with the Melta attacks. So we'll have to see. Castigator as well, I might have to move it down real quick because that cannon's got pretty good range on it. And I could start to put some firepower down on the models across the table. And then this battle sister squad here, I can't fit them in the immolator because there's only a 6 transport rule in there. So I could maybe pick up the Imagifier and attach her to another unit, but I don't think that's going to be the case. They can maybe wheel around and try to start plinking away at their Land Raider, but this thing here, there's not really much firepower left. It's all down here that has the strength to take it out. So I've really got to think about what I'm doing here for the Adepta Sororitas turn 3 for their move. We're going to go to the tray. We're going to roll their miracle dice. I'll get that done first, give me some time to strategize, and then we'll be back with their move. The battle is starting to dwindle, though, and time is our worst enemy in this one. So I'm hoping that I can get around this table quick enough to be able to finish them off. And if not, this massive bloodletter gets released, and that is game over for the Adepta Sororitas. So over to the tray. Let's get that miracle dice rolled, and we'll see how it goes. All right, so let's start off the Adepta Sororitas turn 3 with our miracle dice roll. They've lost a lot of units. They've actually taken out way more than what's been lost. I'm super impressed. And this is a very high toughness, really good hand-to-hand combat army that I put together here for the world leaders. So I'm super impressed. Whether the sisters win or lose here, they've done absolutely fantastic on an offensive fight. But yeah, let's get to the rolling here. And actually, if you guys want to check out my Narrative Crusade with my Cadian, they lost this battle. So the one that started this one with the Emperor's Children, the very first battle of this narrative, was a carryover from the Cadians' first loss and only loss. And that was an offensive battle like this where they had to stop that ceremony of the ritual. I'm hoping the Adepta Sororitas can right that and make sure that the, demons of Khorne don't come out from this warp pillar system in the middle of the table. But let's see. Miracle dice first. And it's a 6. So that is fantastic. I have not been rolling great. I've lost Morven Val, so that means that kind of easy discard to be able to get multiple attacks is gone. I think one of the battle traits that I gave, you can discard dice, so I'll look around and see what I want to do there. But this is fantastic. That's going to be great for a missed shot, a missed melee attack, a save that isn't made, something that can be used. And my other dice is a 3. So in my pool right now, I have a 3 and a 6. I'm going to go back to the table, move these Adepta Sororitas models, and try to get some kind of strategy down here where I can cross an entire table in 2 turns and have some distance to be able to blast away at some of these world leaders. So wish the sisters luck, and I'll be back in a sec to show you guys the move. Alrighty, so I think this battle is getting a little long there for the editing, but we will see the soft spot seems to be kind of 2 to 2.5 hours. This one has been amazing though, so if it does go a little bit longer, I don't really care. So the Adepta Sororitas have finished their move phase for turn 3. The Sacrosancts spilled out of the Rhino, went into hand-to-hand combat with the Exalted 8-bound, led by the Hospitaller. The Rhino backed up a little bit, wanted to keep that 12 inches to be able to get the rapid fire 2 bonus from the Stormbolter. This thing's down to 3 wounds, and it might actually be necessary to move it over here, and that's where we're going right now. So the Paragon Warsuits are trying to avenge Morvenn Vahl. They have also gone in against the Exalted 8-bound. That will be hand-to-hand combat. The Rhino, or the Land Raider, will probably be able to pick at them next turn if they are not taken down. They have the initiative here, though, so they will be rolling first, and they do have some pretty good hand-to-hand combat weapons, so I'm hoping they might be able to wound or maybe kill a couple of the Exalted 8-bound. The Battle Sister squad here with the Imagifier have come around. There's actually a few of the unit that is in range. Also, they're in line of sight, so I'll just bring the camera down, show you guys that. So they would be firing into the Land Raider. The tree is very skinny, so they definitely have a lot of the side of that hull available to them, so anything that's in range is going to be able to shoot. Over here, I've had to move the Immolator, so it is trying to make its way over. I'm hoping there's enough game left to be able to get that over there, because the Adepta Sororitas only have 1 additional move after this. The Mortifier is still here, going to be firing at those Terminators. The Castigator, I don't think is going to have the speed to be able to help out over there. So I've moved it its full range move, and now it's going to be putting its firepower on those Terminators as well to finish them, and the Retributors will also be doing that. And then last but not least, we have Canoness Vaheen. She moved her 6 inches. The Immolator here, I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough time to be able to drive over, pick her up, and then also get in here if it's required. I just don't know if we have enough Adepta Sororitas models. That might come down to my planning from the start of the strategy here to administer the units to take on who would be facing across the table, and also kind of how the way the game has evolved and the rules have come about and everything that's affected all of that. So tried to put together a good strategy at the start. I'm still hoping we'll be able to maybe finish off these world leaders in the next 2 turns. I'm going to be doing a lot of rolling off camera for this one, so all the shoots will be off camera. I'll come back, sum that up, and then we will get to the hand-to-hand that I will get in the tray, because that should be some good rolls. So let's get to it. Oh, I wish I got that last roll on camera. So just to sum up the shoot phase for the Adepta Sororitas, the Immolator, I was like, oh shit, it only has the Immolation Flamers on there. It actually has the Heavy Bolter. So I was able to fire in. There were 2 of the Jackals here that were in line of sight and in range. They were killed. This Jackal, however, is protected by that wall there because the shots were coming in from that angle. I then switched over to the Stormbolter. I've got the Rapid Fire 2, so that was 4 shots total. I put it into this guy. 3 out of the 4 hit. They wounded, and then he made 2 6+ saves, which is the Jackal save. Didn't go down, so hopefully next turn, but I'm going to have to keep something here to be able to fight that, which isn't good, because every single model has to be killed. We'll be getting to the Sacrosancts in a sec. Poor Canoness Vaheen, she's busting ass to get down the table to help out her sisters there, but you know, she's moving that 5 inches. The leg on her might not be working as well there, the fake leg she's got, but she's trying. Over here, another round that didn't go great. So I had the Mortifier, the Castigator with all of its weapons, as well as the Retributor squad, whoever was in range, fire at the Terminators. You can see that 1 Terminator was killed. However, this Terminator, the champion, still has 3 full wounds. So that is another model that's going to have to be taken care of, meaning I'm going to have to keep some troops over on the side of the table to do that. And then it was, you know, I probably wasn't going to be able to do anything, but the Sisters of Battle here with their entire unit, ranged weapons that were in range, fired at the Land Raider. Wasn't able to do much. All I really had there was the heavy bolter, but maybe I could have got a lucky roll. Didn't happen. So the Land Raider still has 16 wounds. That is extremely problematic because I don't think I'm going to be able to take this thing out before the end of the fight, and that is part of the rules. We also have to get to the hand-to-hand combat here. And as that immolator was pulling around, the Bloodthirster was just starting to snarl within his kind of warp enclosure there. He can feel that this battle is not going the Adepta Sororitas way, and that he might be released very soon to kill these remaining sisters and any of the planet inhabitants and use their blood for the blood god and their skulls for the skull throne. So we are going to go to the tray now. I'm going to roll the hand-to-hand combats here, and then it flips back over to the World Eaters for their turn 3. Sure, the Sisters of Battle have to get their asses in gear here more than ever, so hopefully this hand-to-hand combat phase goes great for the Paragon Warsuits and for the Celestian Sacrosancts. So over to the tray, and let's get that rolling off. All right, let's get this melee phase going here for the Adepta Sororitas. Turn 3, this is going to round out their turn. This is their second last turn, only one more after this. The Celestian Sacrosancts have been in the back of that Rhino for quite a while. The first couple of battles, they got into it right away, so I'm happy to start to use them here, and I'm hoping they can do some damage against these massive Exalted 8-bound. The Hospitaller will hopefully be buffing them out too for all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to start with the Spear of the Faithful, which is 3 attacks hitting on a 3+. I also have 2 Miracle Dice in my dice pool, so I have a 3 and a 6 that I probably will want to incorporate here if I start getting some poor rolls. So all those attacks have hit. Now we have to see if they wound. That is Strength 5 versus Toughness 6. This is going to be 5 to wound. And I'm just seeing here. I'm going to move the 1 out. We're going to put the 6 in for my Miracle Dice. I need to get hits in here. So these 2 also fall out. So we have 1, our Miracle Dice. It is a -2 to AP, so this has hit. I'm going to switch over to my red dice now. Brings the Exalted 8-bound up to their 5+ save. And there you go. So he didn't save it. That is 2 damage, and that is why I want to do that. So one of the Exalted 8-bound here has been reduced to 1 wound, which is great. Very good start. Now we're going to move over to the Anointed Halberds, and the reason I wanted to max out that attack is because the Halberds only have 1 damage per. So this is 3 attacks again. It's going to be 12 dice. I'm just going to grab those. 3, 6, 9, 12, and that's because we have the 4 Sacrosancts with the Halberds. So I'm going to roll them all at once, hitting on a 3+. Oh, fuck. So I'm going to use my other Miracle Dice. I didn't want to use these this early into it, but we need to get some hits here. The higher the amount of hits, the higher possibility of wounds. So here we go. This is also Strength 5 against Toughness 6. That's going to be 5s to wound. And we got 1 through from that. Wow. So the sisters are pretty tired. This has been a long campaign so far for them. It is a -2 to AP, so let's see if we can kill that guy. This is back up to a 5+ save. Only 1 damage, though. And they were able to kill one of the 8-bound. So at least that is a saving grace there. Going to remove that 8-bound just so I'm tracking. And if Vaheen makes it over, as well as the Rhino, whoever else is coming here to help out, that might help in the long run. We still do have the Hospitaller. She doesn't have the best hand-to-hand combat weapons, but her skill is, of course, with the staying power of the Sacrosancts. So that is why she's there, and I'm hoping on this counterattack, if it happens, that she's going to be able to help them out. So this is the Chirurgeon's Tools, or Chirurgeon's Tools. 3 attacks, hitting on a 4+. Not as skilled as those Celestian Sacrosancts because she's a Hospitaller. She is not a Sacrosant. Maybe she used to be a Sacrosant. I don't know. She's also pretty old, kind of like Canoness Vaheen. So that is a hit. It is Strength 3, Toughness 6. We need a 6 to wound here. And that is a 1 that does not work. So this is flipping back over to the Exalted 8-bound. I'm going to get them set up. I just want to check all the abilities again for the Hospitaller because I have a feeling that we're going to need everything that she can give these Sacrosancts. So I'll be back in just a sec and we'll get that rolling off. All right, so just wanted to double check there. The Hospitaller does give them the Feel No Pain 5+. If that comes into play, that is going to help immensely. The other really good thing here is they're not facing the counterattack of 3 Exalted 8-bound. It is only 2. So the Chain Blades are 4 attacks hitting on a 3+. I'll roll both of them. And not a great roll by them either. A few dice fell off. So these are through. It is a Strength 8 versus Toughness 3, 2s to wound. And all of those are through except for 1. -3 to AP. That brings our Sacrosanct up to their 4+. So here we go. This is now the Sacrosanct save. So 2 were not saved, 2 were saved, but I do have that Feel No Pain 5+. So if these turn into 5s, that damage is going to be nullified. So come on, Emperor, help us out. We need 5s. And a 2 and a 1 is not a 5. So that is 2 damage per. The Sacrosancts have lost 2, 4. Each model has 1 wound, so that is 4 Sacrosancts dead. But the Hospitaller has that ability, as you guys have seen in previous battles, to possibly bring models back. I do not have a Miracle Dice, as I used both of those, but we will get one at the start of the next turn. Fingers crossed we don't lose any units here, but if that happens, I will get another Miracle Dice as well. So yeah, we're going to flip it back over here to the last hand-to-hand combat. It is the Paragon Warsuits versus the other Exalted 8-bound. I'll show you guys the table just to break this up, and then we'll get to that one in a sec. Oh, I'm feeling for these sisters. This has been a tough battle, and it is a very tough opponent in the World Eaters. They were actually doing really good at the start. Things are starting to change here, though. They lost a lot of their heavy punch models there in Morvenval, and my poor strategy, I don't know. I thought it would be good, but I put a lot of their heavy firepower on one side of the table, and I should have probably spread that out a little bit more, or at least had them closer to transports to move around. So once again, kind of letting the sisters down. Sorry, sisters. We are moving over to this one now, though. Hopefully these Paragon Warsuits can roll super well to avenge Morvenval. And we're going to go to the tray right now and get that rolling, and we'll see how this one does. Okay, so we have 2 Paragon Warsuits left. One has full 4 wounds. The other has 3. They do have the initiative here, though, so they will be attacking first. I'm going to start off with the Paragon Warblade from the Paragon Warsuit Superior. 4 attacks hitting on a 3+. Holy shit. No Miracle Dice. You would think a 3 would be easy. So 3 have fallen off from that. This is not looking good. Strength 8, though, versus Toughness 6, 3s to wound. A 6. Thank the Lord, or thank the Emperor. So we're saving now. It's going to be the 5+ for the Exalted 8-bound due to a -2 AP. That is a 4. So the Paragon Warblade has done some pretty good damage to one of these Exalted 8-bound, and one of them is down to 1 wound. Just going to put that token out there so I remember. And now it moves over. Can you imagine, though, if I'd gotten all the attacks through? It's possible they could have killed maybe 1 or 2 models. Anyways, it's not over yet. We are going to keep going here. We have the Paragon War Mace, which has some crazy strength. It is 3 attacks hitting on a 3+. All those are through. That is fantastic. Strength 12 this time versus Toughness 6. It's going to be 2s to wound. And that is awesome. All of those are through. It's a -1 to AP as opposed to the -2. So this is going to be a 4+ save for Exalted 8-bound. And 1 was saved. They don't have a Feel No Pain, I don't think. I think they might maybe used to, but that has saved. These 2 are through, though, so that is 3, 6 damage, and that has actually killed 2 of the Exalted 8-bound and left the Exalted 8-bound champion with 1 wound remaining. So that was fantastic. That's exactly what we needed from these Paragon Warsuits. I wish that the champion with the Warblade had done a little bit more, but what can you do? I will take what I can get, and if I can move these things over in time to get in hand-to-hand combat with the Land Raider, they might be able to smash it to bits, but they would have to survive all of those incoming las cannon blasts. But first, they need to survive the counterattack of the Exalted 8-bound. So there is the counterattack here. It is 4 attacks hitting on a 3+. 1 fell off. Anything that falls off is great if you're cheering for the sisters. This is Strength 8 versus Toughness 7, so 3s to wound. Fantastic strength from these Exalted 8-bounds. That's pretty crazy. All of those are through. It is a -3 to AP. So this is going to be a 4+ invulnerable from our Paragon Warsuits. I'm also going to check. Okay. Yeah, I was just checking here. They do have a special ability, but the Exalted 8-Bound do not. They're not considered monsters or vehicles, but if I can get into contact with that Land Raider, that would be great. Anyways, this is going to be 4+ saves here for the Paragon Warsuits. One was saved, so we have a 5. These are through, however, and that is 2 damage per, so 2, 4. That means that one of the Paragon Warsuits has been removed. I'm actually going to take out the Superior. I have the ability to do that from the side of the player, and that's just because that Warblade I don't think is strong enough to be able to penetrate the Land Raider if I make it that far in this game. So I have the War Mace remaining. I'll come back to the table here, show you guys how that finished up, and then we're switching over to the World Eaters here real soon. So there it is. That was a hell of a face-off. We did lose the Paragon Warsuit, but the World Eaters lost 2 of their Exalted 8-Bound, and 1 was down to 1 wound remaining. So I have to consider taking this guy out. The Land Raider as well is probably going to be able to fire into the Paragon Warsuit, so I'm really hoping that it's going to be able to make it past those attacks. I'm going to get to the World Eaters now, start doing their move, and then we're going to see how this goes. The battle is dwindling. There's not many World Eater models left. Just to show you guys what remains, we have the Land Raider, we have the Exalted 8-Bound, we have the Exalted 8-Bound, we have the Terminator over on the far side. There is the Bloodthirster, but that's not really a model that can fight. So let's see if we can do it. Let's try to do this. Yeah, and we also need to see if the Sacrosanct can survive the next attack here with the help of a Hospitaller and bring some of her sisters back to be able to deal with them. Yeah, let's do it. So we're going to move the World Eaters, do their shoot, do any hand-to-hand combat, and then we'll come back and possibly finish this one out. All right, so begins the World Eaters turn 3. That Bloodthirster just wants to cleave that Immolator in half, you can tell. I also forgot about one model. There is the Jackal. So the Jackal went into hand-to-hand combat. I'm a little worried too because the Rhino has not been rolling great and it only has 3 wounds. The Exalted 8-Bound have gone into hand-to-hand combat with the Celestine Sacrosanct and the Hospitaller, so we will have to see how that goes. The Terminator over here did a pretty smart move. The Castigator is now going to have to peel around if they're not able to take it out, so he is protected by that wall, which means the Castigator has to move to be able to fire upon him. The weapon there too, not great, but this is more about staying power for the World Eaters, and the Mortifier does only have 3 wounds, so it's very possible that that might be a problem. And yes, over here I actually did not move. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to have the tank, the Land Raider, spin around. He's going to be putting his firepower, doing this live onto the Sisters of Battle, because I want to stick to the lore here. And Exalted 8-Bound is not just going to, they're not like Tyrannid where the, hive mind is controlling them. They want to get in, fight. They want to have those hand-to-hand combat scraps. It's built into the World Eaters. And yeah, he's gone back into the Paragon Warsuit, so we're going to see what happens to it. I am going to probably roll the shoots over here off camera, so we're going to do that. This is really, this shoot and the Terminator are the only ones, so going to fire into that full battle sister squad. Might shred them apart, we'll have to see. And then the Terminator here will be firing into the Mortifier. And if we can't finish off these models with this next Adepta Sororitas turn after the World Eaters, that's all she wrote. So here we go, over to the tray. I'm going to start rolling, and if there's anything that I want to capture or show you guys, I will go live, and we'll do that right in the tray. All right, so that sums up the shoot for the World Eaters. The Mortifier still stands. The Terminator was not able to hurt it, but the Terminator still has 3 wounds, so I need to kill that next turn. Over here, not a good scenario, so the Heavy Bolters actually didn't do any damage. And then the Las Cannon Array did fantastic damage. I was able to use that Aegis of Belief to feel no pain on the Magifier. The entire squad was lost, but she was able to stay with that 1 wound remaining. She has a bolt gun, so a bolt gun versus a Land Raider even if I get the most lucky roll in the world, it's going to be 2 wounds from the 16, bringing it to 14. So the only thing that is in the area that might be able to do it, and that is if she survives here, is the Paragon Warsuit with the Multi-Melta. So we are going to keep this going. I will see at the end of this hand-to-hand combat phase what happens. Because just mathematically, we might not need a 4th turn. And that is because if the Paragon Warsuit goes down here, there's no way that it will be able to fire and do any damage to that Land Raider. But we will keep trugging along here and see what happens. And that Battle Sister Squad as well has to be given another Battle Scar. So before they take any more, I may call it if this hand-to-hand combat phase doesn't go great. But we are going to start here first with the Exalted 8-bound versus the Hospitaller and the Celestine Sacrosanct Superior. She's not able to do that move to bring back any of the Lost Sisters until it flips back over to the turn of the Adepta Sororitas. So right now that is all that stands in the way of these 2 Exalted 8-bound. And then we may finish up this fight with this battle right here. Over to the tree. All right, and with the loss of that Battle Sister Squad, they do get a Battle Scar, but I get a Miracle Dice, so I'm going to roll that right now. It is a 1. Not good. I don't think there's any models left that have an ability that helps that out. I will keep it in the pool, though, in case I can discard it to help out with something. Now we flip over here to the 8-bound versus the Celestine Sacrosanct Superior and the Hospitaller. There are going to be 8 attacks coming in here from the Exalted 8-bound Chainblade. So hitting on a 3+, here's the first. Okay, here's the second. There's only 2 of them remaining. So a couple 1s, 3 1s came out. Those do not hit. This is a strength 8, toughness 3, 2s to wound. And another one fell off. There's 4 through, however, though. I'll grab 4 black dice to show the save for the Sisters of Battle. It is a -3 to AP that brings the Celestine Sacrosancts up to that 4+. And, ooh, so she is dead currently, but we do have that Feel No Pain 5+. And 2 wounds, 4 wounds have been administered, and actually the Hospitaller and the Celestine Sacrosanct are a unit right now. They have 4 wounds in total, so that is the end of them. The Hospitaller does not have an ability right now to be able to buff herself out like a battle trait or anything. I'll just check in case, but I think it buffs out the unit she's with. So yeah, Feel No Pain 5+, the Medicus Ministorum, and the Sacred Healing is at the next turn. So that's 2 more models down. While we're live here, I will roll their Miracle Dice. So Celestine Sacrosancts 4, Hospitaller 2. Not great rolls again. Maybe that 4 will be able to come into play. I'll show you guys the table there where that went down. And I just noticed too, I have to roll for the Jackal. I'll do that off camera, and then we'll come back and get the Paragon Warsuit versus the Exalted 8-bound. All right, there they are, the 2 victorious Exalted 8-bound. They just take out the Hospitaller and the Celestine Sacrosanct Superior. And the way that works, like when they're a unit together, like you can picture the Exalted 8-bound are hacking away, right? So they've used 1 hack, 2 hack, 3 hacks. On that first hack, if the Sacrosanct goes down, they're not going to continue to keep cleaving her. I guess they could, but then they would switch over logically to the next thing that would be standing to cut that down as well. So those wounds transfer over. In a shoot, it's a little different. If it's against a unit like a Las Cannon would go like bzzz and like zap through, I would think, a whole unit. Whereas a heavy bolter, like if you're chugging that, chuck, 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 it's 3 shots. So 1, 2, 3, 3 units or 3 models in the unit. I just try to always picture how those dynamics kind of work in the game and the mechanics of it. I think that's what they're trying to get at. Anyways, I'm going to be rolling this one now off camera. So that is the Lone Jackal versus the Rhino. I really hope the Rhino doesn't go down to a Jackal. We'll see, though, the way this battle is going. And then I may finish it up with the Paragon Warsuit. And that might finish the battle. I don't want to take any more battle scars, and I'm okay with not taking any more unit kills. So we'll see if there's any mathematical chance that I have a chance of taking out that Land Raider with this Paragon Warsuit. We'll do it. But if not, the battle might end with that hand-to-hand combat. So that's super important. I'm going to roll for the Jackal and the Rhino, and then we will finish it up with the Paragon Warsuit and the Exalted 8-bound. I am pleased to pass on that the Rhino was able to run over that Jackal that was picking away at it with the chain blades. No wounds were lost, so that is a unit kill for the Rhino. It's actually got 4 unit kills during this Crusade, so the Stormbolter has been doing pretty good for it. It's the only weapon system on there, and then those tracks, which just ran over the Jackal. But I'll take it. It's a unit kill, helps out, and it gets the Rhino closer to the blooded rank. Here, however, is the next fight. Might be the last fight of this battle. Turn 3, end of the melee for the World Eaters. It is the lone remaining Exalted 8-bound. Hitting with the chain blades, you can be damn sure I'll be using any miracle dice here that are going to help out as well for saves or for attacks if I'm able to counterattack with the Paragon Warsuit. So hitting on a 3+ for the Exalted 8-bound. 1 fell off. All right, we'll take it. Strength 8, toughness 7, 3s to wound. Oof, 2 are through. It is a -3 to AP. Usually that would be a 5+ for the Paragon Warsuit, but it has an invulnerable save of 4, so we're looking for 4s here. I am going to say that this is going to be removed, and I am using my miracle dice to save that. So both attacks have been saved, and I have just saved the Paragon Warsuit. That would have been 2 wounds through, would have left it with 1. So now it is time for the counterattack. Let's see if this Paragon Warsuit can get a unit kill this Exalted 8-bound. Thank goodness I had the miracle dice. I know sisters were lost to get it to us, but this is the whole thing, and it's great that we were able to do that. So we are attacking here, and it is also the most powerful weapon the Paragon Warsuits have, the Paragon War Mace. It is hitting on a 3+. I only have a 2 and a 1 remaining in my miracle dice pool, so this will not help me if I do not roll well enough here. Looking for 3s. Come on, 3s. We got a 1. Get that 1 out of here. Get the hell out of here. You don't like them? I don't like them either. Get the hell out of here. Good old Simpsons. The Moccasins, Scorpio. It's a great episode. Anyways, this is strength 12 versus toughness 6, 2s to wound. Yes, both are through. It is only a -1, however, to the AP. Don't understand that. It's got a crazy strength, 3 damage compared to the Warblade, but it's AP. I guess because it's like a big thunk. I don't know. Anyways, so this is going to be 4+ for the Exalted 8-bound. Fuck, and it saved both. So that is pretty much it for the battle. So I'll just show you guys why I'm thinking that. You know what? We might do one more move here just to see what happens, but I'll sum up everything that's going on and how this battle is pretty much, I think, impossible to win right now from the way that I've set up the victory indicators. We'll get to that in just a sec. Okay, so we're going to sum up what this battle is looking like right now. So that was the end of the World Eaters turn 3. We are now in the Adepta Sororitas turn 4. So this is the final turn of the game as per the rules that have been set out. And from the beginning, we knew the victory indicator for the Adepta Sororitas was they had to kill every single model here to halt the summoning of the Bloodthirster that's the size of Kabanda. So here we have Canoness Vaheen, moves 5 inches currently. She is not in range. She has an 18-inch plasma, not enough, or a 12-inch plasma pistol. The Immolator, it moves, possibly gets some fire down on the 8-bound and kills them. Awesome. So that's a possibility. Over here, we have the Castigator wheel around, fires on the Terminator, kills him, plus the Mortifiers and any of the Retributors that are in range, because I don't want to lose that heavy ability. The Imagifier does possibly 2 wounds maximum to the Land Raider. It goes down to 14. This is the deciding factor right here. So I have moved the Paragon Warsuit. It has a 6-inch move right now due to the crippling damage. I actually don't have the token beside it, but I checked my data cards and it does have the crippling damage right now. So it lost 1 inch to movement from previous battle scars. So 3 wounds here. It has, however, left the lone Exalted 8-bound, which could maybe be picked up by the Rhino and get a lucky roll with that Stormbolter, possible. The biggest thing here, I'm going to roll this in the tray, is if the Paragon Warsuit Multi-Melta is able to somehow destroy the Land Raider, I will continue this battle. If not, this one is going to be going to the World Eaters, because again, it is mathematically impossible to win this. So we're going to go to the tray. I'm going to roll this right now. I do not get the Melta bonus here either. It's just within, I think it's like 15 inches. Measured it out before I came over. So we're going to do that, and let's see if this Paragon Warsuit can get the luckiest rolls in the history of Warhammer 40k. Yes, and to add to the possibility of getting some great rolls, I do have my Miracle Dice for the start of the Adepta Sororitas turn 4, so let's see what we can get. A 2, not great. I was really hoping for a 6 or maybe anything higher than a 4. So here it is. This is what it comes down to, the battle of the Adepta Sororitas versus the Blood Cleave World Eater Khornate army that has been here on the table, that is trying to summon this massive Bloodthirster demon. We have the Multi-Melta. It has a 2 profile, 2 attacks, hitting on a 3+. Both of those have gone through. I should be rolling black dice, but I started with red, so maybe this is a sign. It is a strength 9 weapon though versus toughness 12. Gonna need 5s to wound. 1 wound is through this guy right here. It is a -2 to AP. So you know what? Might as well save with the black dice here. That is a 4+ for the Chaos Land Raider. It has not saved it, so that is going to be D6 damage. Still not enough to kill it, but let's see if we can at least put a big melty hole on the side of it. And they got 6. So a really good end there to the fight. So the highest possibility from that Multi-Melta was actually 12. And if I did have the bonus, it would be, there we go, just switching the token here. It would have been 14, so not enough. That is it for the battle. I'm going to call it. I don't want to have any more battle scars administered to any of my players here because the Exalted 8-Bound might have gone in and chopped up the Rhino. It's possible that the Terminator in the next turn could have blasted away at the Mortifier. So the Adepta Sororitas have lost this battle. I'm going to go to the table now, show you guys who remains from both sides. And the Bloodthirster that is about the size of Kabanda will be coming out upon this world to wreak havoc. The Sisters of Battle are going to have to retreat to save themselves, go back and inform the Imperium of what happened, and hopefully some reinforcements can come in. Very similar outcome to what happened during my first crusade with Acadian. They were not able to stop the summon. It's a very, very tough battle to do when you're on 100% offensive with very short turns. But I did want to test out these Adepta Sororitas, and the Battle Sisters are actually a very hard army to use. But yeah, we'll get to the table and I'll show you guys. We'll chat some more as well. So there it is, a pretty good last-ditch effort there by the Paragon Warsuit. Tried to take out that Land Raider. It did strip 6 wounds off of it, which is actually pretty damn good. So it went from 16 actually down to, does it start with 16 wounds? Yeah, it's down to 10 wounds, so it did pretty good. I'm just going to switch the token out here so it's legit. There we go. So that was 6 wounds, 10 are there. And again, even if the Magifier had fired, possibility of 2 maximum shots in, that would have been down to 8, still would have been going. The Exalted 8-Bound is definitely in range here. Would have attacked my Paragon Warsuit as well. The Paragon Warsuit may have been destroyed, so I'm going to try to avoid that battle scar. I also don't get a unit kill, though, if she'd fought back, so that's pretty even. The Rhino could have been chopped up as well by those 2 Exalted 8-Bound. They're definitely in range as well of the Rhino. Canoness Vaheen, she did amazing. I think I'm actually going to give her the 3 extra experience there. So you can do that with one of your models by the end of the game. You guys can check that out in my Acadian Crusade when I'm describing the rules. I forget what it's called. What is that called when they get that? Anyways, I'll think of it and maybe put it in there before we're done. But she did absolutely fantastic. She held her own against some 8-Pound, which was incredible. This Bloodthirster has pushed its way out of its cell, and it is going to attack this Immolator first, and then continue to destroy the entire planet and probably a bunch more. Khorne will start popping through that gateway, so there might be Angron coming through, more demons, bloodletters, all that kind of stuff. On this side, I think I weighed this side very heavy. It should have been maybe distributed a bit more, because if that castigator had been on the other side of the table, I think we would have done a lot better. There's only one model left here. And you're saying maybe if the castigator hadn't been there, there'd be more models, but it would have changed my strategy. The immolator probably would have stayed over here to start doing some more damage on them. There was a massive Corn Force here, though, at the start. So you had the 8-bound, you had the Corn Berserkers, you had the Terminators. So the Land Raider could have also come over to this side. So I wanted to keep a pretty good force here to take on a lot of armor. But they did fantastic. Those first couple rolls from the castigator wiped out those Berserkers. And yeah, the Retributors as well never moved. I didn't want to lose that heavy ability. Maybe if I'd moved them as well, got them into the back of the immolator, I could have had them across the table. So a few things that you look at, hindsight's 2020. But that is it for this one. I will tell you guys a little bit about the next battle in just a second. I'll get the tripod set up somewhere so you guys aren't looking at the poo brown dice rolling tray. And then I'll let you guys know what we're doing next. There's the shot that you guys will have for the next few minutes. So this has been a long battle. The narrative Crusade is always a bit longer than my other games, and I don't mind. This one may run 2 hours, 45 minutes. If you guys are watching it and loving it, amazing. I'm really, really happy that I'm able to do these for you. It also helps me immensely in regards to a very stressful day job. I'm able to step away, really do something that I love to do, paint up some models, put on a cheapsy horror movie in the background while I'm doing that, glue models, and then put them on the table for awesome battles like this. But paint jobs are pretty good. I'm not like, a Golden Demon winner or anything, but I think they're pretty entertaining to look at. The Bloodletter model too, or the Bloodthirster model here, is actually not Warhammer 40k. It's another one that I got from a third-party vendor, but it's a fantastic model. If you look closer, it's not totally a Bloodthirster. It looks like a devilish creature or something, but it works super well. And it's bigger, I believe, than the Games Workshop one. So it's like, I think maybe a bit smaller than the Kabanda model from 30K, but it's a great model to have as a centerpiece. I was kind of rifling around in my head what I wanted to do next. So I had 3 more battles lined up. It was the Sisters of Battle versus Nurgle. My Nurgle Death Guard fight here is almost the exact same as what I did in my Cadian fight. I could think of something else, but I love those kind of like escort VIPs out of a city situation, and that's what this was. But I'm not going to do it because I've already done it before. Also, with the amount of battle scars that are lining up here, I want to give my sisters a shot. They're currently 2-2, so they won the 2 middle games. They lost this one, of course, and the first battle. So I think I'm going to do my Sisters of Battle versus Genestealer Cultists for my next fight. That's going to be fight number 5. And then the last one after that, I have a toss-up between the Sisters of Battle versus Chaos Undivided Cultists, or a very cool idea that I had against the Thousand Suns. So I'm going to have to think of that last battle. There's only going to be 6 during this narrative. I'm not going to do 7. They're pretty time consuming. I love doing it, but getting everything set up, getting it shot, getting it edited, I'm going to stick it to 6. And then I can get back to, fight them up, or not fight them up, but Fight Force 4. The Crimson Fists are currently at the top of the hill in that one, and I might actually have them taking on the World Leaders next, which is why I wanted to mention that. But I'll get back to this 5th battle. So it's going to be the Sisters versus Genestealer Cultists. If you guys are new to Warhammer 40k, the Genestealer Cultists work from within a planet. They take the inhabitants through time and kind of impregnate them, I'll say, with a gene stealer. So the future generations of humans that are born are actually gene stealers that then call down their god, which is the Tyrannid, to take over the planet, the Great Devourer. So this is going to be a very cool mission. I've never done it before. I might have to work out a few mechanics. But the background for this one is it's going to be a find and destroy mission. So there's been an uprising of Genestealer cultists that have been found on a planet, and the Sisters of Battle have been assigned to kill its leader, which is a patriarch. There's going to be tokens around the table, and I'm going to actually try to find if I can find my manhole cover ones. So it's going to be my cityscape battle again. There's going to be random sewer holes placed throughout the city. Before I start the game, I'm going to mark one of the bottoms of those manhole covers, kind of shuffle them around in something, place them without looking at it, and I promise you I will not look. If I do see it or I look at it, I will just shuffle again. And what's going to happen is my Sisters of Battle are going to have to come in very similar to this battle from different corners of the board, and then try to find the manhole cover which has the marking on the bottom. It could happen very quickly, or it could be the last one that we get to. And if that's the case, there's going to be an ability for the sisters to kind of enter the sewer system. And I have a cool, very little tiny model set up that it's going to work for this. And I'll probably put that on a table somewhere. But then the sisters are going to have to literally do like old school Vietnam, like tunnel rat attacks. So they're going to have to get down into the tunnel and kill any of the guards that are around the Patriarch. The Patriarch, similar to this fight, like the Bloodthirster, is not going to be able to fight. It's going to be in like a sleep mode or a slumber or a coma until it wakes up after the planet's been taken over. So as long as the Battle Sisters find that manhole cover, and those manhole covers are all going to be defended by other Genestealer cultists. So I have to work in the point value to make that legitimate for the Genestealers as well. And the point value is probably going to be over the Sisters of Battle. So I'm going to have to really strategize on where my forces go, who they fight in regards to what is on the table, and then also have enough firepower and force left to enter that sewer system, go down and kill the guards around the Patriarch to be able to pretty much kill it in its slumber. So that's what's going to happen. So I'm going to work that through. That'll be our second last fight. Very, very excited to get that going. I have not done a battle like that on camera yet. I did one similar way back when I was a kid. But I'm thinking it's going to be very, very cool as long as I can work the mechanics out and try to explain this all again. But thank you guys again so much for watching. That is it. This is sadly another loss for our Sisters of Battle. So they are now 2-2 on the Crusade narrative. As I said though earlier, very difficult force to use. And I have not buffed them up as much as I have with my Cadians. And they don't have as many like Rogaldorn tanks, Baneblades, these big, heavy-hitting vehicles. Castigator's pretty much at the top of their tank ability. And then their models as well are more like light strike infantry. A few hand-to-hand combat, but we saw how the Celestian Sacrosanct did against the 8-bound and Exalted 8-bound. Canoness Vaheen, though, as you guys are seeing on the camera, marked for greatness is what I was looking for earlier. She is getting at this battle. She's going to get an additional 3 experience. So I'm going to have to add up all the experience from this fight too, because there were a lot of World Eater units that went down, which is also really great for the sisters. So there might be a few more getting to that blooded rank that I'm going to be able to decorate up in some awesome gear to soup them up, and then also see if I can add any more battle traits to help them out in that fight against the Genestealer cultists and the Great Devourer. So again, thank you guys. Finnigan 40K. This is the Adepta Sororitas Narrative Crusade Battle 4 complete. Keep watching. Please give us a like, subscribe. Always content coming out. As I said, I love shooting this. Great way to end my day. Yeah, so thank you guys again, and we'll be back really soon. Bye-bye for now.